As you know, time is it, your boy David, back at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And we are bringing you match day live. And here in the fourth round of the FA Cup as we travel to the Deep Dale to take on Preston. Of course, Troy Parrott on loan there, but ineligible to play today. But we've got a good panel here to discuss on some current topics that's going on and also on the game today. We'll start with Jacko. Jacko, brilliant job, giving me time off to sort myself out. Really appreciate that, my man. How are you keeping?
I'm doing okay, Dave. It's good to have you back. And even Patty has also come to join us and welcome you back in, which is good to, just a lot of people that haven't been on the channel or haven't been on here in a while. It's a good panel that you've assembled here, Dave. Looking forward to it. And it's Preston North End. So I'm sure we'll be, maybe discussing plenty of other things, having a good debate on kind of some of the topics, around Spurs. I'm looking forward to it, Dave. And it's good to have you back, baby.
Nah, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Alex, how are you keeping, my man, Mr. Box Office?
Like I say, the main event's back on the Irish Hotspur. The Irish Hotspur versus Mr. Box Office again. Notorious, isn't it? You know what I mean? Everybody wanted it. Everybody was saying it. But now it's time anyway. But we're going to have a real conversation today about this game today and what's happened before as well. So it's good to be back. And it's good to have the panel back as well. So, yeah, looking forward to it today.
It's good to have you back, my man. Of course, it all started on We Are Tottenham TV. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Paddy, my man, good to have you on. I've been chasing you down for a while. How are you keeping, my man?
How are you? Good. I'm good. I'm a busy man, but look, come here. I said that you will come on at some stage. I said I might as well get it over and done with and listen to box office up there in the corner for a half an hour.
He said, I'll come on when you come back. That's what he said. I'll come on when you come back.
I really appreciate your time, Paddy, my man. I really do. I think you've got a lot of good opinions and a lot of good things to say. So I look forward to hearing them. And last but not least, Dermotron, he's with us. Hopefully his heart holds out today. How are you keeping, my man?
Well, that's what you get for supporting Tottenham. You get a dodgy heart. That's what you get. But look, it's great to be on here, Dave. It's great to have you back. And it's always a pleasure to come on here. And especially with Alex and Paddy as well. It's great to have them on. And it's a great panel. So looking forward to this.
Nah, it should be good, my man. Should be good, my man. Going to take a few comments and then I'm going to tell everybody everything they need to know. And then we're going to get in and let these guests have their say on things. Who have we got joining us now? We've got Michelle Martin. She says, Sabbat Shalom, precious saints, lol. Big up, Michelle. We've got Dermotron. He was in here. No need to read it out. He's on the panel, but big up, Dermotron. We've got Mick Hermalock. He says, good afternoon, Jacko. Big up, Mick. We've got Foster Cluck. Says, we've surely got this in the bag today, haven't we? I mean, look, it's Tottenham. You never know. I mean, look, some people would say we didn't struggle against Portsmouth. In my opinion, I think we did. I think we should have played a lot better. But look, we'll wait and see. We've got DJ Samuel. It's FA Cup day. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, DJ. You've got Adrian Straka says Spurs will win the FA Cup this season. Look, I'll be honest, Adrian, it's more the fifth round I'm worried about. I think we've got, 3 or 4 consecutive fifth round exits over the last few seasons. So get through today. Let's see what happens in the fifth round. Carl Higgins says, afternoon all. Big up, Carl. Good to see you in the building, my man. Big up, Simon. Great to see you. Hope you're keeping well, brother. We've got Dark Sun G says, Gunners losing to City. Come on, let's win today. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, I think every Spurs fan was absolutely buzzing to see that happen last night. Good to see them gone, finally. They've been a thorn in my side this season. I'm sick of them. Big up, Dark Sun G. We've got Vernon Francis. I love this group chat. Come on, you Spurs. We've got Hasper TV. Says, Levy out, Enoch out. Big up, Hasper. We've got Faz Rafar. Big up, lads. Hope David is back as well. We need the two of you for some energy and positivity to progress in the cup. Come on, you Spurs. Here I am, man. Big up, John Fitzpatrick. Good to see you. He says, Enoch out and big up, Dave. Big up, John. Hope you and the family are keeping well, my man. Down under. We've got Killian Gubin. Says, yes, David is back. Delighted. Killian, you must be sweating. Big Doherty fan, of course, but Pedro Porro. Look, we'll wait and see. I'm not going to jinx it, but apparently he should. Well, not apparently. I'm hoping he'll be on his way after the Portuguese Cup final this weekend. So it could be me. Could be bon voyage for Matt Doherty, Killian. So let me know what your thoughts are on that, brother. Big yourself up. Who else have we got? The Bolton do it. Good to see you, legendary panel. Good to see you, gentlemen. Mr. Box Office is back. Free for all. Says Alex, big up, my man. Tony Rodriguez is breaking Tottenham Hotspur's attempts to sign wingback Pedro Porro this month could now be off. Spurs are struggling to agree over the payment structure of a potential deal. We'll be talking about Porro very, very shortly, my man, so don't worry about that. We've got Derek Hutchins says, big up Dave, Jack, Alex and Harnett and Dermot. If Levy misses out on Porro deal, it is going to kick off big time. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, it's not acceptable. It's not all month long. So if we miss out on that, it's not the fans' fault. It's the people in charge of recruitment's fault. George Hill says, big up, lads. Welcome back, Davey boy. Hope to see Danjuma today. Perfect game to cut his teeth on, so to speak. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Big up, Georgie Hill. Good to see you, brother. Mia W's in the building. She says, amazing to have you back, Dave. Missed you. Let's get that win today, lads. Guys. No, look, it's good to be back. Just had to take a bit of time off, to be honest with you. Just needed time, but big up me. I really appreciate that. Brian Dempsey says, all right, Dave, Jack and company. Hope you're all good and well. Just another day in the Tottenham Hotspur travelling circus. Here, lads, just watch the under-18s draw 2-2 with Chelsea. Mickey Moore. Big up, my man. And you know, I was actually going to watch that game. It was actually live on YouTube, but unfortunately, the missus made me do some cleaning, which I wasn't too happy about. But hey, sometimes you got to keep them happy, don't you? Paul Brown says, afternoon all. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Paul Brown, my man. Good to see you in the building. William Bonner. Who's that strange fella in the top left corner? Yeah, lad, got the beard trim, haircut. You know, I'm feeling good, my man. I'm feeling good. Big up, Wayno. Good to see you. How are you keeping, sir? Hopefully you are off today. Hopefully you didn't have to get up early to go and do some work, my man. Then we've got Rob in the building. Good to have you back, Dave. Great panel. Big up, Robbie. Big up, Zoe. Big up, T.O. Isaac. Keith Edwards. Jabberwocky says, hey, what's up, lads? Big up, my man. Good to see you in the building. Lisa says, look at that panel. Big up, guys. Great to see you, Dave. Come on, you Spurs. Big up. Lisa. Really appreciate that, Lisa. But look, we are going to get into it. I'm going to tell everybody absolutely everything they need to know. Of course, we are away at the Deepdale Stadium. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Referee is Peter Banks. Hopefully he doesn't turn into Peter Wanks by the time the game is over. No VAR today, of course, not at the Deepdale. And then if you want to watch the game on TV, in the UK and Ireland, it is on BBC One, and in USA, it's on ESPN Plus. So that's for everybody out there. And of course, the watch along will be starting back here at 5:30 p.m. today. Lucas Moore, of course, is not. I don't think he's available today. Trade with the under 21s. Brian Hill, I believe he's picked up a bit of a knock in training over the last week, so a bit dubious on him. Harry Kane, again with the virus that he was struggling with the Fulham game. We're not sure on him. And Richarlison, who of course was at the under-21s game last night, so we don't know what the story is with Richie today either. But look, we're going to kick into it. We'll start with Mr. Box Office, and we'll start with Paddy Harnett. Look, we'll start with you, Box Office first. Does the FA Cup represent Tottenham's only chance of silverware this year?
I would say technically yes. But after watching us in the Carabao Cup, I'm sorry, I've got less belief than anything. Because for me, that was our best competition to get a cup this season, as far as I'm concerned. I'm still annoyed after last season with that Conference League. I've got to be honest. I think that just shown how our attitude is with the cups as well. So for me, it is technically our best competition to win. Yes. And you can get a good run, I think. The only issue we have at the moment is that we can't beat a top team. We've not beaten anybody in the top six. So, for me...
The reason why I asked the question, though, Alex, is because a lot of them teams are gone. Well, Chelsea are gone, Arsenal are gone. Now that's 2.
Yeah, the roadway has been paved for us in a way, or at least made easier.
What is it, 9 Premier League teams gone already?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, that is true. Yes, but I mean, there's this issues for me. It's still, you know what I mean. But I do feel that we have got a good opportunity. And to be honest with you, I'll be really happy if we do win the FA Cup, because it's about time we do something more than just getting a Carabao Cup. You know what I mean? Every other 22 years. So it'll be a massive achievement. You know, if we do it this season, definitely. You know, and you might be onto something, definitely. But I still go back on what I said before. You know, we couldn't beat a Nottingham Forest team in the second team. You know what I mean? In a cup, but I think we could have won this season. with Antonio Conte. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's for them to prove us wrong at the end of the day, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Spot on. Absolutely spot on, Alex. I mean, Paddy, where do you sit? Because I think Alex has a point. Like, you look at the FA Cup, we've gone out in the 5th round numerous occasions over the last few years. Europa Conference League didn't exactly pan out the way we wanted it. We went out to, you know, Nottingham Forest in what I would call a shock in the Carabao Cup this season. When you look at that, probably we probably could have had a good chance at that. Do you believe we can win this FA Cup, or are you skeptical a bit like Alex?
No, I think we can win it. I think we can. There's 9, 10 teams, Premier League teams gone. The only one I would see as potential blockers would be City. Every other team I'd be confident in getting results off of. City are the only ones. So if we meet them in the next round, all depending on where they are in the league and how serious they're taking the league, or where they are in the Champions League, we could beat them. But look, call a spade a spade. City are far too strong against our squad. City could put on their seconds and they'll still be too strong for our first team. They will, because we just don't have it. But I think we can. Why not? Why can't we win it? Jesus, we haven't won it in 91, so whatever amount of years that is, I'll take it. Realistically, I think it's the only hope we have of a trophy. We're not going to win the Champions League.
No, not a fear of it. Saying that, we could be sitting here at the end of the season. You never know. No, I'm going to not going to do it to myself. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, Dermo, where are you at with this FA Cup? Do you think we have a realistic shout?
I think we do. I think it's our chance. I think we'll win it this year. I've always said it from the start, from the 3rd round, that we'll win it this year, and I think it's our chance. We have to win it. We owed an FA Cup. It was our competition back in the day, and as Paddy said, we haven't won it since 1991. We're overdue an FA Cup win.
Yeah, absolutely.
I apologise about the music. My young lad's playing some music, so I'll keep myself on mute so it doesn't.
No, you're all good, Dermo. You're all good, my man. And Jacko, where are you at with it, brother? I mean, do you believe we have a chance? Or you just kind of like, look, just stick with it and see how far we go?
I think it is our best chance to answer the question of silverware. It is probably our best chance, likely because teams like Arsenal, maybe we mentioned in the back end, have been knocked out. I think, you know, we could always maybe fancy ourselves against Man City, maybe more so than some of the other teams if we were to come up against them. And even when we had Ryan Mason in charge, we still gave it a good go in that cup final, like without Jose Mourinho. So it still showed that, you know, we can, you know, still maybe give Man City a bit of a scare kind of with any scenario, with any team. And now we have Antonio Conte, likely with hopefully new signings that we'll talk about later that get to come in, and we might have a stronger team in this sort of cup scenario. I also feel like, Dave, you end up kind of having to, you know, face easier teams, whereas with the Champions League, it kind of just goes anyway. And you can also get matched up against teams like maybe a Napoli or a Bayern right now, where it is kind of, you know, a bit of a free hit for us. Like, we don't really expect ourselves to do very much. Whereas when we're coming up against, I think, you know, kind of fellow Premier League opposition, maybe at some stage in this FA Cup, I think we would fancy ourselves a bit more so in this. And also that's because we know Antonio Conte probably does better in the domestic cups than he maybe even does in the Champions League in general anyway. And that's no really slight on Conte. I think he's just has a better record, I think, in sometimes the domestic cups as well. So I definitely think it's our better chance of silverware. And I don't think I'm ruling ourselves out. It's probably a better chance than we've ever had, to be fair, because what you always want is just all the other teams to be knocked out without you having to really come up against them. That's kind of been paved, you know, for us. It's been kind of an easier path than it normally is. But we did lose last time in this round at Middlesbrough, so I'm not getting ahead of myself.
For me, the way I look at it, I think the draw has to be kind to us. I think if we get through today, get another kind draw in the 5th round, and hopefully avoid some Premier League opposition maybe to the semi-final, that'd be absolutely brilliant. But look, I think it's a big ask. It'd be interesting to see, you know, where we are in the league come the latter stages of the FA Cup and how seriously we take it then. Be very interesting for me to see what the priorities, whether they want to prioritise trying to get forward or they want to prioritise trying to win the FA Cup. But look, only time will tell. But Jack, you did mention new signings. Of course, we signed Danjuma on loan from Villarreal, and there is an option of to buy him in the summer if we think he's good enough. Jack, he's more than likely in contention to make his debut today. And I want to know off everybody on the panel, are we excited by this signing?
I feel like it's very mixed feelings on this one, I think, with Arnaut Danjuma, with the fan base, because I think people who probably watched him last season in the Champions League might look at this as a bit of like a not a bad, not a sexy signing by any means, but certainly maybe a clever signing to a degree, because like how maybe Spurs want to operate, they always would rather maybe get a bit of a taster, Dave. They always want to get a bit of a sample before they actually buy right away. And this could be the case with kind of Arnaut Danjuma. I personally was kind of excited by the Trossard news when we were looking at him, because I think he would play a lot different to Sonny. He actually, I think, is a lot more creative than Sonny is, and that maybe could have helped us out a bit more on that left-hand side. But he also was available on the cheap. We just didn't get him. Then again, though, you kind of have to move on past it, I think. And you look at maybe this Arnaut Danjuma guy. He's tall. He is like a bit stronger. He's played, obviously, in the Premier League before. He's played in the Championship. He's coming off a good last season. And I think he's maybe just backing himself, from after Unai Emery left to, probably play with a better, competition, play maybe for higher stakes as well. And I don't know. I'm kind of backing Danjuma here, Dave. I think the one thing, too, is that he is sort of similar to Sonny in that he's actually quite quick. He dribbles in off the left, likes to cut inside, has a few kind of tricks and flicks. In fact, I think he is maybe capable of probably winning some Spurs fans over if some of those tricks and flicks kind of pull off right away, maybe. And so I don't know. I'm kind of backing Danjuma. I think it could be an interesting, sort of signing. It just needed to happen. I think we just needed Sonny competition, no matter what, for me, because he really has been lacking any sort of real kind of person, breathing down his neck, or any sort of real person kind of gunning for a spot like it was last season, even with Bergwijn. Bergwijn was kind of trying to push for his spot, and you could see maybe Danjuma doing something similar here, and perhaps that might even get the best out of Sonny.
I just hope he's not another Bergwijn, to be honest. But Paddy, I seen you shaking your head when I asked the question. It seems like you're not a fan.
No, I won't say I'm not a fan. I suppose, look, at the end of the day, it's a signing, which is the only positive I can take from it, because obviously we don't do a lot of them, and we haven't done so for the past 29 days or whatever the case may be. Yeah, is he a player that we need? No. But is he a player that you can bring off the bench? I mean, if you look at the last 2 or 3 games, we've had 0 to come off the bench.
Yeah, we need attackers on the bench.
So then, Paddy, does that not make it then that we need him then if we haven't had anyone to sort of bring off the bench?
It's like a catch-22. We do and we don't. If that makes sense. We do need him to have an attacking option off the bench. But he shouldn't be our priority or the first signing we get in. I mean, it's glaringly obvious. Our back line is completely shit. Yeah. So that's the areas I would be addressing first, and then go for the forward line. Because at the end of the day, we also have Richarlison to cover across the front 3 too. We have. So he could have easily slotted over to the left where Sonny should be rested.
Tell me this, Paddy, are you a fan of these loan to buy options, or is it more, look, Tottenham, they seen an opportunity, they took it. If it works out, they'll end up buying them. But are you a fan of these loan to buy options? Because where I'm at with these loan to buy options, right? You've got Antonio Conte. You don't know what his future is. So, like, do you bring in players for his system, and then he's gone in the summer and they're still stuck here? And as well, with the loan to buy option, it means players coming in here, they have to hit the ground running, rather than us shelling out big, massive fees, and they act like pricks around the club, like we've seen with the likes of Lascelles and Endon Fadas.
I think it's more so of a safety net as well. It is. I mean, look, people are kind of going, "Oh, he's not backing Conte, or he's not doing this." Bottom line is, Conte hasn't committed to a new contract yet. So again, going back to it's a catch-22 situation. You back Conte with players that suit his system, and all of a sudden he walks in June. Pochettino comes in, because we know what's going to happen as soon as Conte walks or is sacked. Pochettino straight in the door. So some of those players won't suit him. So either he commits and the club back him, or he doesn't commit. The club get rid of him, get a manager in, and I won't say back him because they're not going to. But it's, you know what I mean? It's. I find with those signings, they're safe.
Yeah,
you might pay 2 or 3 million for a loan fee, but isn't it better paying 2 or 3 million than paying 22 or 3 million or 60 million like in Dombele, or 40 million like the Chelsea, and not working out? Go for the loan option.
Yeah, look, I hear you. I'm sure Alex will disagree here now, but Alex, I also want to ask you as well, my man, on Danjuma, is he of the required quality that Tottenham needs?
This signing just tells you why Conte's gone. Yeah. It's not an if, it's when. Simple as that. If you don't know, get to know, because I've said it on my channel, Alex THFC, if you really want to know, because I've said it already. You know what I mean? I've already made myself known already on this already. Okay. I mean, honestly, if people don't see this guy has not been backed already, I don't know what else to say. Yeah. I mean, honestly, you could see it from a mile off. Where's that central defender that he needs, by the way? Oh, yeah. Where is it? Where's that right wing back that we really need? Because I was told last season we had we achieved the greatest getting top 4, which is not a trophy, by the way. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go on too much because everybody's seen what I've said on my channel already. So, as I said, you know, he's okay. He's okay. Like Richarlison, okay. You know what I mean? But again, it's just like, I mean, I've heard Tottenham fans this week, they're saying, oh, fantastic. Finally, we've got a sign in. That just sums up Tottenham. You know what I mean? No plan, nothing else. That's
Do you know what? Just on that, Alex, I think, look, I don't think anyone's getting overexcited because I think they know that the rest of the season is going to be a struggle. But I think where people sort of, I wouldn't say get excited by the sign, and I think where they kind of get happy is because it's an extra option that we don't already have, and hopefully it'll make things a little bit easier. I think that's why they get excited. I don't think they're getting overexcited that, oh yeah, Danjuma's in, definitely going to be enough to bring us to the top 4.
Listen, he needed competition, yes. Okay. It kind of puts a bit of a mockery on selling Bergwijn, yeah, and getting somebody in who can't even get in front of Bergwijn in his, you know, in Holland, yeah, in internationals, yeah. But
just quickly, Alex, I think Bergwijn made kind of a fool of himself, actually, because he was complaining last season about playing, you know, not very many minutes really. But Sonny was a Golden Boot winning left winger that season. So if he had actually just been a tiny bit more patient, like if Bergwijn had just waited just one extra season, he would have actually probably gotten his playing time maybe this season.
I think the problem is, like I said, this is the problem with Tottenham at the moment. We don't know where we're going. We've got no plan. We don't know what philosophy we're doing. We're doing this, doing that, doing this, and doing this.
Isn't that Bergwijn's fault though? For maybe basically he wanted out, but had he maybe just been a bit more patient,
that's the result of how many managers we've had, different philosophies and everything else. Because at the end of the day, we're looking at it right now. Son should be out the team. He's playing shocking. He's playing terribly. Yeah, I think he's looking like a guy that needs a new start. Okay, you're not gonna like what I say, David. I've said already. Kane needs to go. Son needs to go. It's quite clear. Yeah, if they don't win a trophy this season, they need to go. Simple as that. Yeah, I'm still sticking by what I've said already. Yeah, so for me, he's going still Son because of, you know, all the years of being the best he has been, and also the system maybe doesn't really suit him. I don't know, but he's not playing well whatsoever. And I've been at the stadium, so I've seen it. He's not been great. So Danjuma might be a guy that might be pushing, you know, pressuring him to go up there. The problem is Conte is very stubborn, because good managers are stubborn. Because when they've won trophies, championships, they don't change. They don't change. Yeah, and why did he change for Tottenham when we've won only a Carabao Cup? Doesn't make sense, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So for me, I think it's an okay signing, but for me, it's not the priority. But it just shows you why I think he's walking, and that's it.
So you're at where Savi's at here, then, Alex, where he says Danjuma would have been satisfactory signing if we had signed some good players first for necessary positions, but bringing him in at the end of the month as first signing is really underwhelming. So would that be fair to say where you're at?
Yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for the lad, because he's coming into a situation where you don't know whether Conte is really fancying him anyway. Because look what's happened with Spence, and I've got to blame Conte on that, because for me, why are you taking on Spence when you know you're a good manager, saying they're giving him Spence and saying, can you take him on? I'm like, you could just say, sorry mate, but who you paying to do the work, by the way? Who's the one that you wanted all this time, and you're paying me big dough at the moment, and you're giving me players? I want players, mate, not the other way around. You wanted me, not the other way around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's Conte. Yeah. That's Conte's fault. You know what I mean? It's like Mourinho. Mourinho taking the thing as well. Like, the fact is, Levy went to Mourinho to get him. You know what I mean? Not the other way around. You know what I mean? This is the point. But we'll get into it a little at a time.
No,
I'll leave it back to
100%.
you, David,
I
man.
hear you. I hear you, my man. Just want to say welcome a few more people in. Big up Scotty Hynam. Good to see you, brother. Hurling Mad, great to see you. Terry Wright, great to see you, brother. Hope you're keeping well. Jerry, my man, good to see you. I hope you're keeping well as well. And who else we've got? We've got John Bamford as well. Skriniar could be coming in this window. No, I'm not going to hold out any hopes. I don't think we're going to match wages that he's looking for. His contract is up. His wages are going to be astronomical because he's going to look for a part of what they would have had to pay in the transfer fee if we signed him on a pre-contract. So I wouldn't say Skriniar will be arriving at Tottenham. But Dermot, you know, how important is it that we don't write off Danjuma yet? Because we've done the same with Kulu and Bentancur last January when they came in. And the reason why I say it, Dermot, is because look, everyone's well entitled to feel underwhelmed by some of these January transfer windows that we've had over the last few years, and 1,000% I get it. But the fact is, we writ off Kulu and Bentancur before they even got here because we were unhappy with how the club was being run and our actions in the January transfer window last January. So how important is it that we actually how important is it that we separate the player from the club and that we actually give the player a chance to succeed rather than write him off before he's even kicked the football?
I think it's very important. I mean, it's not his fault that he's here. We've got him. Let's see what he can do. What I've seen of him, he looks very impressive for the games I have seen of him. But let's give him a chance. Look, I agree what Paddy says and I agree what Alex says as well. It is very underwhelming where we should be getting a centre-back or a right wing back in first, then bring in this fella. But he is cover for Sonny, and he may push Sonny to that next level. So let's give him a chance. We'd said the same thing, as you say, last January, Dave, with the two signings in, and look what they got us. Yeah. We just need a couple of signings. Maybe get a Burrow in and probably one more player in before Tuesday. And maybe that can kick us on to the next level. But it's important we give him a chance. Let's get behind him, support him, make him feel he's welcomed, and then see what happens. Because if we don't, then it could just say, well, it might just not bother. Do you know what I mean? It could knock his confidence, and then you're back to square one again. Let's get behind him and let's make him feel wanted and see what he can do. Because if he hits the ground running and pushes Son, then if we have to leave Son out, at least we know we've got somebody who can come in and do a job for us, and just as what we're looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah, look, anyone else want to come in on that? And then I have one question to ask Jacko, and then we'll move on to Pedro Porro, because it's the one that everyone wants to talk about. Anyone else want to come in and, if anyone else feel that it's important not to write the player off before they kick the ball?
Very important. I mean, again, going back to what Dara said and what Alex said, if you look back at Bentancur and Kulusevski last January, after 21 minutes, people wrote Kulusevski off. Fans said no, he is slow. Literally after 21 minutes. Now, in the same breath as saying that, fans also need to stop giving certain players weeks upon weeks and months upon months and of saying he'll come good when he doesn't. That's Spurs fans are notorious for that. They are saying he's 10 minutes of a good game and all of a sudden he's back. Most players aren't. If players are poor for the previous 10 games, they're not going to get good for 10 minutes and be superb for the remainder of the season. So it's a kind of a balance as well.
Yeah.
But the Juma or the Huma, I think. I was listening to what you call him last night. Cappy, Danny.
Yeah.
I was listening to him last night and he pronounced it like it was the Huma, that the Dutch take out the J in the middle of the name or something like that. So that's how you pronounce it. But it is,
look,
he's good.
I'll pronounce it the best way I see it. I can't get with these silent letters, I see Dan Gilman, that's what I call him. Yeah. Dan the man, Dennis the menace. There you go, Alex. All the nicknames coming from Dan Juma already. Alex is going to slate me on this one.
But I have to say this, though, yeah? I'm sorry to interrupt you, David. Yeah?
No,
unfortunately, Conte wants to win now. That's why it don't make sense. You know what I mean? Because we all Tottenham fans can say what they want to say, but you talk to other fans, they know exactly what you're getting with Antonio Conte. It's simple. He wants to win now. You know what I mean? And you can see it in his face. It's like, what is this? You know what I mean? It's like, so for me, it's like you can say you can give him time, but time's ticking. because the
Yeah, I
contract's
agree.
ending in the sin boat. You know what I mean? So for me, there ain't no time to wait on this one. And I'm sorry, I still stick by what I say last season. We got lucky with those 2 signings last season because he didn't know what he was doing practically.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to replicate that this season. I agree. It's going to be very hard to replicate.
Yeah, I mean, and they fitted
in there and do what they've
they
done.
fitted what they wanted, and it helped out, and they worked to the system. That's it. And let's be honest here: if Kane and Son weren't fit last season, we're not getting fourth next season. Arsenal don't mess up, so we got lucky last season. So I think there's been over the top. Yes, Kulusevski is a good player. He's better than Gill. I'll tell you that for a fact. Because all the over the top praise for him, honestly, it's been over the top. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry. Like he wants to win now, so this is why time.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. I understand that. Look, I'm guilty of what Paddy says, over egging the pudding the other side, getting behind these guys too often. Guilty of that. But Alex, there's loads of people around the fan base that call Gil Messi. I'm not the only one. Some people, they absolutely love doing it. I've seen some people do it for their North London Derby streams, calling them Gil Messi to get him pumped up, stuff like that. So I'm not the only one that uses it. A lot of people around the fan base seem to like using that name. But, Jacko, we all know that watching these obscure players is sort of like your porn. It's what you do after 9 p.m. in the evenings. I mean, is Danjuma good enough to come in and take Son's position, or at least challenge Son, that he looks over his shoulder and says, holy shit, I need to get myself together here and start performing?
If you were to be kind of harsh and maybe just look at Sonny just from this season alone, you would say that a lot of people could probably step in and be able to actually take his spot at the moment if you were just looking at his level. Because I think what Sonny's kind of failing to do, I brought this up before too, Dave, is like, if he's not scoring the goals, maybe he could make more of an effort then of trying to set up Harry Kane, trying to be able to set up for Kulusevski and other players. But he seems to also kind of be struggling at that. In certain games, he struggles to either hold up the ball, even when he does hold up the ball well, kind of doesn't really ever make kind of, you would say like a real breaking the line sort of kind of pass, or he doesn't really thread anyone else through or anything. He usually just kind of, puts on, kind of a, just let's say passes on the pressure to someone else to kind of make that, kind of that game breaking sort of pass, you would say. But I feel like this year, Dave, I mean, really anybody would kind of step in. So that's why I sort of feel like Trossard was, maybe an interesting choice just because he brings something really different. What I would say is Danjuma brings something really similar to Sonny in that he dribbles right at people. He's very kind of, sort of direct in that sort of way. Like I said, before, he has a few kind of tricks and flicks, up his sleeve when he kind of goes at players as well. And he came off a really good season last season via Real, where he kind of started red hot. I think he scored in his debut, if I'm not mistaken. And then in the Champions League, in the big games, he got 6 goals and 2 assists or whatever it was. And they made it to the semifinal. They beat Juventus. They beat Bayern. So they took some scalps on the way. So you could say, Dave, like Danjuma, at least from last season, if you're getting the version of him from last season, that's probably a guy that would take Sonny's spot right now. That's what I would say. And that's, kind of taking a version of a player from last season and then comparing him to, the version of Sonny from this season. So maybe that's a bit unfair. But, just to kind of look at it in that sort of terms, yeah, I think if you get the best version of Danjuma today, you absolutely would say he takes the spot.
Well, look, today's the D-Day for him. At the end of the day, most Spurs fans will get to see what he's like. And look, hopefully the opportunity, Danjuma takes the opportunity afforded to him today. Because, we need all hands to the pump for the rest of the season. So I, for one, I get this season has been tough, and I get we've got larger issues. But I want to salvage what we can this season. I want to finish the very best possible position we can. So I do hope Danjuma takes off. Now, guys, we are going to move on here at the bottom due to Super Chat. He says, suppose we miss out on Porro, but end up bringing in Ndika. What would be your reaction? And do you think Danjuma will get a few minutes there? Look, I think Stellini alluded to it in his press conference on Danjuma there, bottom due to that. He potentially wasn't ready to start today, but we're not sure what the story is with Richarlison, not fully sure what the story is with Harry Kane. So I would hedge my bets on Danjuma getting it. Probably he will get some minutes today. I would start him personally. I don't want to see Kane or Son anywhere near the team. I want to see them get the rest or Kulu. I would rather have a Richarlison, Danjuma, and Gill. I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I do think we will see Danjuma today. But guys, if supposing we didn't get Porro, which I think is an absolute joke, considering we need someone in that position of technical quality and someone of real quality going forward, and we bring in Ndika, who would be a left-sided centre back. What would our reaction be? Would you be pissed off? I mean, I'd be like, why can't we have both?
At the beginning of the window, would you have rather had a center back or a right wing back, Dave?
Me, centre backs.
And
I've
Ndika's a
been
bit
on
of
this
a
train
man
for
mountain
3
as
years.
well. He's like 6'4", very tall, all those sort of things. I mean, would you rather have a big, tall, kind of demanding, powerful center back, or have a skillful, technical kind of right wing back? What would you have rather had at the beginning of the window?
Me, at the beginning of this window, centre backs. Look, right wing back, I think I would suffer in the right wing back situation until the end of the season. I get it's important to Antonio Conte's formation going forward, but we've got guys that can score goals. Scoring goals at Tottenham has never been an issue in my lifetime supporting the club. We've always had players that can score goals. What has been an issue is the back line that has been neglected since Toby and Jan were deemed too old and shipped on. Since they've gone, all we've done is bring in Romero, Langley on loan, and Joe Rodon. And then we sit here wondering why the collapse like Man City happened, which, by the way, thank fuck I was on the couch watching that, because I would have lost the rag. I would have thrown my computer all over the place, because I'm sick of it, Well, like, with Antonio Conte, right? It's all well and good people sitting there questioning his tactics, this, that, and the other. But when are we going to talk about issues that predate Conte, like that backline? Why are we expecting a manager like Conte? We've done the same with Jose to come in and work with guys like Dyer, Sanchez, Davies, who, when we had Walker, Rose, Toby, and Jan, they were backups. And now we're trying to make managers form a defense with these guys, and we just don't take no for an answer. We're backing these guys and getting rid of the managers because it's cheapest and easiest option, rather than looking at it and going, okay, we need to address this seriously, because if you get that back line together, we've got a forward line that can go and win you cups and trophies, but we've got a back line that can relegate you. And it's let us down all too often this season. I said it last summer. Everyone was getting on to me, Dave, you're being mean to Sanchez. Dave, Dyer's going to play bad because you're on his case the whole time. Give Davies a break. He tries hard. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't care less. I told everybody in the summer, you will be back here crying January about that backline. And look where we are now. Everyone's sitting here this January crying about the backline. So I just want that sorted. I want it sorted. In fact, I want it sorted from right wing back all the way across. I just want the whole thing sorted out, because it's completely, it's killed this season. The damage is already done by these guys. It's already done. Some of the big games we lost, if we could have got results out of them, we'd be sitting here in a total different position right now. But everyone wants to throw everything on Conte. No, I'm not having it. Look at Hugo, look at Dyer, Sanchez, people like this who have been here such a fucking long time. I'm fed up with it. Stop backing these guys. But the bottom do, I suppose my reaction, I think you kind of got it there. Look, I wouldn't be opposed to an Ndika coming in, anything to sort of improve that situation, to be honest with you, my man. But big up the bottom do. I really appreciate the support. Everyone, can you please smash the like button? It really does help us out with the algorithm. The algorithm always fights against us. But if you want to be a part of fighting back, smash that like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. And feel free to get your super chats in with your thoughts. We will bring them up for the panel to discuss. I understand it's really hard times out there, so I will keep bringing up the comments in there as well for those who can't super chat, because I understand it's hard times. So keep getting the main questions, and I'll bring up as much as I can going through this. But I do want to move on to Pedro Porro. Big up the bottom, do it, because Tony did say earlier. Go on.
Sorry, can I just jump in on Jack's one on the question there with Ndika or Porro? Or
yeah. What would you rather have had in the beginning of the window, Paddy? Like, what would have, at the beginning of the window, did you want that big, tall, commanding center back, or did you want, someone like a Pedro Porro right wing back?
Why not, as a club, show ambition and go for both?
Fair play.
That's the question I'd be firing out to people, or to the club as a whole.
Do you think those would be the two top priorities? No.
Yeah. Not go for a forward. Forward line is sorted. Midfield is, look, Bissouma's going to come good at some stage. It'll eventually click for him. It's the back line is our problem. So why not go for both of them? Get both of them. Show ambition.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on, actually, to be fair. Now my entire rant over the back line is needless, because we do just need, why not go for both of them? You are right, it does show ambition. Dermot, you've got your fingers up there? Or your finger up? Sorry, not your fingers.
Look, 2 fingers up. Look, I agree. Yeah, I agree with Paddy and you. We need to sort out our backline. It's been atrocious. Look, Tottenham over the years has never had a great backline, apart from when we've been really successful back in the 60s, when we had a staunch backline in the 70s and in the 80s. But since then, we've never had a good backline. We need to sort it out. If we got a decent centre-back and a right wing-back and a goalkeeper, and we count up all the points they have cost us this season, we would be sitting very pretty in the league right now, challenging for the championship and well in the top 4, and nobody would be complaining.
But Dermot, this backline, like managers are constantly having to adjust their tactics to it. They're constantly like, oh, I'll play this player, he lets them down, so I'll play the next player. And then the question becomes, why is he chopping and changing? How do you expect to get a cohesive backline when he's chopping and changing? Well, the reason why he's chopping and changing is because, they sit there, they cry, they moan, oh, guys, feel sorry for me, I want minutes. But then when they get minutes, they don't fucking take them. And then the question becomes, well, how can you expect them to take them when they're in and out the team? It's kind of like, no, we're looking at this wrong. Looking at it completely wrong. Look at the individuals, the players. They sit there, they moan and cry for the opportunities. They get them, they don't take them. And then they sit there and cry and moan more and make all these excuses. The reality is, we know what a good backline can do for us. It propelled us to going for a league run, a Champions League final. It helped get us to many semi-finals in domestic cups. We know what a good backline can do. So why aren't we looking at the backline we had on the Poch and striving to get it back to that standard instead of watching the crap we have here? Under Jose Mourinho, we were scoring first, but we were conceding late on. Now we're in a position where we're conceding and we're looking to have to go and win games. And people are sitting there going, well, that's Antonio Conte's tactics, inviting them on. Yes, of course, some of it has an element to do with tactics, but if anyone listened to what he said after the North London Derby, Dermo, he literally, or was it after or before, but they said to him, why don't you instruct the players to press up high? He just said, well, I have to do what's best to suit the attributes of my centre-backs. Now, when you look at it, they can't deal with long balls in behind them. They lose the runner every day of the week. We've seen Sanchez fall over and eat grass. Dyer just doesn't know where they are. Davies is too slow to really sort of get back and help out. We can't deal with high balls into the box. Any ball that comes into the box, we are never the first one to win the header. So they're always getting free headers in the box, and that leads to it bouncing around, people on the edge of the box waiting to pick it up and have a strike, or them getting a header on our goals, which then puts Hugo Lloris under pressure. And it's kind of like, I'm just fed up with it. I'm just absolutely fed up with it. Just strive to get back to some sort of level of the backline we had under Pochettino. It's not hard. And then any manager that comes in here has a chance to succeed. It's that simple.
Any decent team always starts with a strong back line. You start your back 5 is the most important. You start your thing from there, and then you build from that. We haven't got that. And managers have come in over the since Poch. And it's, again, we look at the managers, not the players. Now, that's bad. You can blame that on the club for no looking ahead, thinking, right, we have to chip these players out to get new players in. They won't do it because, as you said, Dave, it's easier to get rid of the manager, which is totally the wrong way to think about it. Dyer doesn't deserve to be in the team. You've got Emerson, you've got Doherty, who have let us down time and time again. You've got Hugo, who's well past his sell-by date. He should have been changed last season. They should have had somebody in last season to start for this season. And it's the fault of Hitchen, Paratici, and everyone. I'm Paratici's biggest fan, but he has to take some responsibility too, and the club as well, for not having the vision to look ahead. Let's back this manager. He's a world-class manager. He can win trophies. Let's back him with the players he wants. Get out the deadwood, get in, and then we'll be successful. And at the moment, we're not doing that. And Conte's pulling his hair out the touchline, watching Dyer, Davis, Doherty, Sanchez, Hugo making mistake after mistake after mistake. And it's not good enough. And we shouldn't have to accept this. We shouldn't. And he shouldn't either.
See, this is where I'm at with the Danjuma deal, right? I know we needed an extra body in the forward areas. I'm not oblivious to that. I would have said this January transfer window, centre-back, right wing-back player in the forward areas. But from what we're being told, centre-back's not going to be done until the summer. So it's kind of like they're willing to sacrifice the rest of this season. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You've got an FA Cup where 9 or 10 Premier League teams are gone. You're trying to get back to top 4, which next season is going to be even harder, by the way. And you've got AC Milan in the Champions League, so you've got a chance of getting to a quarterfinals of a Champions League as well. Why not improve that backline and see where it can take us this January? This is my frustration with it. Why do we constantly keep kicking the can down the road? We done it when we brought in Roden. I mean, he was never going to be good enough, never going to reach Toby or Jan's level. You know, we loaned in Langley as a stopgap. It's just we keep kicking the can down the road in these positions, and it's the position that's cost us since Toby and Jan are gone. It's just not good enough. But look, I do want to talk a bit on the Pedro Porro situation as well. Wolves F1, Wolves Finland, sorry, my bad, I remember correct. Wolves Finland, big Wolves supporters group over there. He says, like has been dropped. Absolutely love that. Big up, my man. Everyone keep smashing that like button. I want to go to Tony Rodriguez. He did say breaking Tottenham's attempts to sign wingback Pedro Porro this month could now be off. Spurs are struggling to agree a fee over the payment structure of a potential deal, which is an absolute joke, to be honest, Tony. And Terry Wright says we have to get rid of players before we can bring more in. It's a massive problem. Levy isn't going to take huge financial losses on the deadwood, and it's holding the club back. I definitely agree with you. I will talk a bit more about, after the Pedro Porro, we are going to talk a bit about, you know, the bloated squad we have and what we should do. Me, being honest, they had no problem shipping Danny Rose down to the under-23s when he had a problem with Daniel Levy. So why not bring in players and ship the players that aren't good enough down? You know, you see, we are going to talk about this as well, but you see someone like Davinson Sanchez, no, I'm happy to be here. Well, I guarantee you won't be if you're playing under-23s football. I guarantee you'll find the club quick enough. But I do want to get into a bit on Pedro Porro, boys, so let's get into it. So another signing expected in the door is Pedro Porro. Between Emerson and Doherty, who will be the primary backup or rotation option for Conte, and which one needs to be sold? Now, I'm going to kick this off. For me, I know people aren't going to like this, and it's probably unpopular. I want Doherty gone. On Emerson, I understand where people's frustrations and that come in, but why do we sing bad songs and nasty songs about Emerson and just continue to let Doherty float by, even though he's been putting in worse performances and has been here longer? And that's where I struggle. I'm at the point, he's been a massive part of the problem, Doherty. I want him gone. I'd rather keep Emerson, send Jed Spence out on loan for the rest of the season. Hopefully he can have a good campaign, come back next season and make a push and push Pedro Porro. But look, Alex, you haven't spoken in a while, my man. You're dying to speak. Where are you at with the right wing back situation? If we do bring in Porro, we can't really keep Emerson and Doherty here long term. Even if they stay here till the summer, one has to go. Which one do you want to see gone, Alex?
I want both gone. I'll take Spence. I'll be honest.
That was my answer.
Right now. I can't be arsed with them. I cannot be arsed with them. Yeah, we were going over the top about Doherty last season. We were going over the top about Emerson against Fulham, which was a bore fest again. You know what I mean? Masterclass. Emerson had a masterclass. Only the gift that keeps on giving Tottenham fans could say that. Honestly,
is that what he put in his compilation title?
Oh
Emerson
my god!
Masterclass?
Oh my gosh! I've never heard such absolute waffle in my whole life, honestly. But you know, I'm not going to say anymore because, like I said, I put a definition out why I said Emerson's not a great defender. You see, Aaron Bissaka for Manchester United. Does he play for Manchester United at the moment? And he's a good defensive right back. Don't need to say anymore. You know what I mean? And we've got a defensive right back who can't even cross. You know what I mean? So you know, sorry.
Do you not think? For maybe the rest of this season, say if one was to go this January, Alex, do you not think Emerson would be better to keep around than Matt Doherty? Do you not think Emerson provides more?
Okay, so you're getting a manager that wants championships, yeah? You ain't winning championships with Emerson, your teammate. Simple as that. You know what I mean? Like I said before, Conte is here to win, not for a day out in Champions League. He wants to win. Simple. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've already said in my video what I want. I've told you, you know how it is. Alex THSC every single time. You know what I mean? Because you know what I said, Pochettino, and I explained why. But my point is, yeah, and I'm not a Pochettino fan, and I am main event. So anybody's having a go at me, you come and have a go. I'll have a go every single time. So like I said, yeah, right. I'm sorry, those players are not good enough. Yeah, and I'll give it to you, David. Right, you're right about Dyer. Yeah, you're absolutely 100% right about Dyer. We argued about him how many times? Yeah, I said about Dyer. You said he's rubbish. I stuck up for him. Yeah. Davis, he's okay. Sanchez is crap. He's rubbish. Sorry, I'm not even going there. Everybody was going over the top again last season about him. Yeah, I was told
I agree.
Virgil van Dijk last season. Virgil van Dijk. Honestly, yeah. If Tottenham, this is another proof of the pudding. He's not going to get back Conte. Yeah, I'll keep on saying it. He's not going to get backed. Yeah, right. He's only bought in because he knew Tottenham fans were going to say Antonio, shout for him.
Isn't part of getting backed, Alex, getting rid of some of those players that you mentioned though too? It's kind of both. It goes both
Arsenal,
ways.
bro. All I need to say is Arsenal. What did they do with their star players? They got rid of was it Aubameyang on a free? They got rid of Lacazette on a free. They got rid of also on a free. Lost that money. Look at their team now.
Yep.
Look at their team now. And where they were in the mud last season. And I've got Tottenham fans telling me, "Oh, Chelsea in the mud, Liverpool in the mud. They've won trophies, bro." So what
I
you
just think
saying?
for me, Alex, it goes both ways. For me, it goes
Nothing.
both ways in getting backed. I think getting backed is not only bringing players in, but it's also giving him the power to be able to say which players have to go.
Bro,
they sort of did that last season in January, right? Ndombele went, Lo Celso went, Dele went, but now they over the summer as well as this January don't seem to
how
be
many
giving him that
conversations
power.
do you have to have with somebody, right, to say what you need to do? How many conversations do you have to have? Yeah, right. You're begging him to come to our club twice. Yeah, twice. Yeah, right. And then he comes to your club and he's saying, "Oh, can you do it our way, please? Because it's worked out so well for us with one Carabao Cup, bruv. It's done really well. Yeah." Conte's sitting there thinking, "Okay, you're telling me to do it the way that you've done it, yeah? And I've got championships, you've got a Carabao Cup. Who's the joke? You know what I mean? Sorry, but I told you, Dave. I'm going to be honest.
That's not what you know me, Alex. I never sit there before the shows, tell people what they can and can't talk about. This show is for fans to come on and have a conversation about whatever it is they want to talk about, whatever it is on their mind. You're allowed to be honest, Alex.
You're on Savage show, yeah, and he's even more ruthless, bro. He's even more.
Yeah, I know. I disagree with Sam on a lot of things, though. Not on everything, but on a lot of things.
Yeah, but you see it, yeah, and Henry Wright as well, yeah. And I don't even I've not really watched them too much, yeah. They're doing well for them, so big up to them both, yeah. Right, big up to you as well. Obviously, Irish Hotspur, yeah, David, yeah. But they're spot on what they're saying. He's told you already what the club targets are, and it's not nowhere near what Conte wants. It's pathetic.
Well, Alex, before we let someone else in, the Outlaw says when you play for a big club, you can't make big mistakes repeatedly. Sort it, Levy, spot on. But Alex, I want that famous line. Say it to my Outlaw. If you don't know, get to know.
Well, like I said, David, because I always will banter you every single time. Irish Hotspur every single time. It's Alex THS. If you don't know, get to know. Because I've got the lingo and you've got the zeros. That's all I need to say. But anyway, let's move it on. I'll get back to you, David.
I love that. It's honestly, every time I hear that, it cracks me up. Well, look, Dermo, where are you at with the right wing back situation with Doherty and Emerson if Porro comes in? Which one do you want to see go? Because look, long term, both need to go, but the reality is one's going to go in the short term. What one do you want to see gone?
Look, for me, I would like Alex. I like them both gone, but I just don't know how Spence will cope. We need to see how he develops. If it's for the rest of the season, I picked Doherty over Emerson. I think Doherty had had good form up to when he got injured. He hasn't been brilliant. He does make mistakes, but it's the lesser of two evils in my view. Emerson, I think Doherty, you can sort of depend on him. Emerson, you can't. And I feel sorry for Emerson because maybe he can play in an Italian league or a Spanish league where it's slower, but he's not a Premier League player. He can't cut it in the Premier League. And Doherty has that experience. So for me, it'd be Doherty. But long term, get them both out and then Spence and Pero. Then once Spence gets his bit of experience and get up to the speed how Conte plays, then, get him in. But I agree with everything Alex says up above. I have to say, Conte's been telling us for a while. He's drip feeding us in the press conferences. They're not doing it my way. And we've got to do it his way. If we want to be successful, back him. Let's get the players he wants in. And hopefully now Pero's the start of it. But for me, Doherty and Pero for the rest of the season.
Doherty, I completely disagree there, Dermo.
Well, to be fair, I was giving him grief at the Ireland game, and I was when he was the only player to turn up playing gloves, and I kept shouting at him. I swear he heard me that one time when I told him to take off his glove, you muppet. So
I couldn't even look at him. I don't even want him to look at me. I'm disgusted by the guy. But look, for me, Paddy, I look at Emerson. I think he does offer more than Doherty. I think early Emerson helps us out in the back line, especially from set pieces and crosses coming in. Look, I know he's not the greatest going forward, right? And there's a lot of inconsistencies there. But my opinion is the reason why the fan base gets on Emerson's back so much is because he actually puts himself in the firing line and he's willing to keep getting forward regardless and keep trying. Whereas with Matt Doherty, he doesn't. He gets the ball, shifts it inside every single time. He doesn't want to take on his man. He doesn't try to keep doing the right things, whereas Emerson does. But look, you being Irish, Paddy, down there from Limerick, not a great county to be from. But, where are you at with the right wing-back situation?
First of all, two things, right? First of all, I never envisioned myself on the show. Secondly, I never envisioned myself actually agreeing with Alex on the show. So the first for him, there's a first for everything. Look, I suppose as an Irishman, nothing makes me prouder than to see a Spurs player or an Irishman wear a Spurs jersey. That's the first and foremost. But it's also a game of football, and it's also ruthless. Doherty's not good enough. Doherty has played in the system of a wing back, right, for Wolves and Ireland, and he should slot into that position perfectly, but he's not. Royale is a right back playing in a right wing back position, so I'll give him a small bit of slack because of that. But then again, he's a professional. And if you can't change from a right back to a right wing back, then you shouldn't be a professional. And certainly if you spend 1 million fucking making yourself a better footballer and you're still as bad as he is, football isn't the game for you. Good luck and thanks. It is. So I'd get rid of the both of them. I would, but I know realistically that can't happen because when Poro comes in, that means then if he does get injured, we have no right back. Because Spence is going to go out on loan.
But summer comes, Paddy, you would get rid of both of them, you would say.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, definitely.
Spot on. And Jacko, I mean, look, I saved you to last on purpose for this one because I know you have a lot of things to say on this sort of situation we're at. So take it away, my man. Where are you at with it?
I feel like now that we have Pedro Porro in, I really don't see, sadly, and cover your ears, Killian Gubens, but I don't really see a need for Matt Doherty any longer. Like the whole point of Matt Doherty before was to be just that more competent, right wing back, that guy that just was more technically sound going forward, more composed than Emerson, was able to also pick his head up, let's say in situations that Emerson just simply doesn't. But now that we have a much more intelligent, just much better right wing back when it comes to going forward, I don't really see a need to keep Matt Doherty any longer because he wasn't really very good defensively. I think in the first place, he's not very quick or very, athletic, I think either. And so you kind of do maybe look to something different as your backup right wing back, Dave. I think Pedro Porro basically has all of the, the attributes that you basically would look for and, kind of a very attack minded right wing back. But some people do kind of have some question marks over his defensive skills and maybe the fact that he's also not very tall too. So he could be kind of exposed at the back post. I just don't really see the need for Matt Doherty for the rest of the season. I actually would basically have Emerson be that sort of primary rotational kind of backup because we know he's actually weirdly one of our best headers of the ball. I think in the team, he's actually quite competent. It seems like at being able to defend, crosses in the back post. And in case we ever were coming up against like a Mitrovic again, or like a Holland, example again, I might consider playing someone like an Emerson or even bringing on Emerson right in the last 20, maybe 30 minutes or so in case we're, holding on to a lead so that he can, be able to defend maybe, kind of kitchen sink time sort of moments from the opposition. So like I said before, I just don't really see the need for Doherty anymore, like with maybe Pedro Porro coming in.
No, I agree. For me, look, I'm sick of Matt Doherty. I don't think he really offers too much. I've been underwhelmed with him in an Ireland jersey. I've been underwhelmed with him in a Tottenham jersey. And it's not like the guy hasn't had enough time to try and nail down that right wing back spot. Now, look, we're being brutally honest. This is a spot, right back, right wing back. I'm of the belief if you're good enough, you can play in both systems. It doesn't really matter. But in reality, it's a position that we've actually got wrong and worse and worse and worse since we sold Kyle Walker. So hopefully bringing in Pedro Porro will actually put an end to that debacle, and he will be good enough for us going forward. Now, just quickly, we'll ask you this one just quickly, Paddy, on Jed Spence. Now, look, the rumours are that Jed Spence is due to go out on loan for the remainder of the season. Now, it's going to be a huge opportunity for him to prove to Antonio Conte that, hang on, I am good enough to play in the Premier League. I am good enough to play in your system, and you can use me. Do you think Jed Spence will show that on his loan move out, or do you think it's one eventually, look, we're going to have to move on again, not good enough?
I think as long as Conte is there, he won't get a game.
Why?
Conte doesn't trust him. And if Conte is getting Porro in, right, that means then the Spence is going to be probably fourth choice come the summer, possibly second choice. But he's still not going to be a starter. Conte's proven a point. That wasn't a Conte signing. We all know that. We do. And Conte openly said, I didn't sign him. So he's proving a point to the club that you sign players not for me, I won't play them. Now, I don't know who signed him. It wasn't Levy, for people that go, Levy signed this player and that player. It was Paratici that got him in, thinking from long term. I can see why they signed Spence, because he has massive potential. Looking at him last season, he did play well. He did. I don't see what. Now, I know there was the conference yesterday. They spoke about him, but I haven't read up on it yet now to see exactly what was said. But I know there was a few things said that he needs to improve on, which is fine. It is loan him out. He'd probably go to Brentford, I would imagine. It needs to be a Premier League team for him to be loaned out to. Point is into the Championship. Has to be a Premier League team. The same with Hill. He has to. If Hill has been loaned out, it has to be a Premier League team. You have to see are these people are these players capable of playing against the top day in, day out, and not over in Spain or against shit players in the bottom of the Spanish division where they can run rings around them. It has to be done in the Premier League. It does. So, I mean, I'd loan Spence out. Well, he will be loaned out. So, Premier League team, Gill, Premier League team as well. And see what they're made of the season. Didn't make a decision to go, right, cut our losses and just get rid. But again, that's another 20 million wasted.
Yeah.
The amount of money that they've spent trying to replace Walker, you'd have 3 world-class right-wing backs or right-backs paid for.
Paddy, if they would have just spent the money they got for Walker on replacing Walker, we wouldn't be sitting here today moaning about it.
Yeah, but this is my whole problem with the board and the structure and the whole lot. There's zero direction, there's zero plan, there's zero kind of where we're going to be in 5 years' time. There's none of that. It's wishy-washy. It's basically to go, right, we'll wing it summer by summer.
Yeah.
That's basically what we're doing, as opposed to having a plan, going saying, right, this January, we've 3 targets, start of January, here's 50 million for Porro, here's fucking 30 million for Skriniar, and we'll get somebody near the end of the season, or near the end of the window on loan. That's perfect. But they don't. Yeah. They don't, you see.
Yeah. But the Danjuma one kind of strikes me of not really having the plan. I think they missed out on Trossard and panicked, and that's why they hijacked the Danjuma deal. But just back onto the right wing back, I wonder if we do get in Porro, then next season, if Conte is here, will he be more than willing to give Spence a chance, because he doesn't necessarily need to make that point to the board anymore? Be very, very interesting. Crocodox, good to see you in the build, my man. I hope you are keeping well. Big yourself up. Says, you guys seen these Jose Mourinho quotes that just came out? He's throwing Levy under the bus because Jose wanted Kim Min-jae, who was valued at 10 million. Levy offered 5 million and missed out. Now Kim Min-jae is doing great. Now, Jack, I see you nodding your head, so I presume you know exactly what he's talking about. Now, in fairness, before I let Jack off, what I will say is, before I let Jack off, if anyone gets that, I've just have to crack myself off. But before I let Jack speak on it, what I will say is that Jack, if we would have brought in Kim Min-jae at the time, because he would have been relatively unknown. Like, yeah, we knew what he was like from the Chinese Super League, but he would have been labelled an Enoch Levy signing at the time if we would have brought him in.
Absolutely, but then again, though, it kind of just seems to be painted both ways. Where if the Kavicha guy that we were linked with a while ago, the Kavicha guy at Napoli was, we were linked with him pretty heavily at one stage, and he was, kind of, weighted off by the fans as a Enoch and Levy signing, and then we kind of just stopped pursuing it. It also just seems like maybe this Kim Min-jae one has just, I think, forever been like a huge sort of kind of mistake by Spurs, because at least for me, I think a lot of people who at least knew a bit about him and also maybe took maybe some of the, kind of let's say recommendations of people like Dark Sun G and things like that. Everybody knew that I think Kim Min-jae was going to be an absolute beast of a center back. He's even come into Napoli and basically has actually kind of made the absence of Koulibaly even kind of look kind of not like really much of a deal at all, or really, not much of a loss at all. He's been an absolute man mountain for them, just been basically one of the better center backs in Europe since he's been given his chance. And so I don't know. I think it was a huge mistake by Spurs. Maybe paying 10 million was, I don't know, like they should have just paid 10 million, especially if they knew that he was going to become the player that he is today. Maybe they didn't actually do the scouting ahead of time, because this was the day and era of Steve Hitchens. So we didn't really have much of a scouting department to really begin with. So maybe we didn't actually see that much of a talent. Perhaps it was just sort of rumor that, we were looking at him, but I don't know. It's really disappointing we missed out on him. It's really disappointing. A lot of people kind of wrote him off, in my opinion, because I think he could have been a real coup for Spurs. And the other thing, too, to put this in context, like we instead, Dave, for Jose, we bought Joe Rodon instead. So would you rather have had Kim Min-jae, like a risk from the Chinese Super League?
For Joe Rodon, right? Did we not?
Yeah, exactly right. So we ended up paying more money for Joe Rodon instead of paying the same amount of money for someone like Kim Min-jae. So that's another thing as well, if you put it in context. So it just shows that the recruiting department, especially during that Hitchen era, at least for me, was some of the most incompetent, recruitment I've ever seen. Of course, you also have the constraints of how Levy puts, budgets on things and how Levy puts constraints on things as well. That also comes into play. But let's be honest, like we did end up spending more money than that 5 million, we valued for Kim Min-jae. We spent like 14 million or whatever it was on Joe Rodon instead. So how does that even make any sense?
It doesn't. It's
just as much of a risk. Just as much of a risk, if you ask me. I would have rather, I would have rather have gone for Kim Min-jae in that scenario if you were comparing him to Joe Rodon.
It's even more of a risk. Now, Dermot, I have another question for you in a second, but Alex, this is exactly what you're on about, right? Because I know, look, you weren't the biggest fan of Jose. I mean, you had a lot of heated debates at the time over Jose Mourinho. But this is what you're talking about, right? Bringing in someone like Jose, bringing in someone like Conte, but not getting them the signings that they identify for their system to be able to improve it. We're kind of just bringing in what we want rather than what they want, right?
Someone said to me that if you do what Jose Mourinho wants, he's happy. It's the same with Conte. You know what I mean? Like, the fact is, they've won the way they've won. They ain't going to change. They'll change for certain things. Mourinho changed certain things, but Conte will not change. He's a systematic guy that does his system. People have to work to his system. That's why Pasuma was not his signing. They got him in because they found a loophole in his contract and thought, yeah, let's go for him. But was he the guy that knows Conte's system? No. Quite simple, no. And that's the point. It's quite clear. When you look back at what he's done at Juventus and look back at what he done at Inter Milan, you can see exactly how he works. You have to do what he wants, and then it works. And that's it. And he's a short-term manager. It's fact. Yeah? Mourinho, he goes in, does what he needs to do, then it goes all to pot, and that's it. You know what I mean? But with Tottenham, it went to pot very, very quickly. I gave it a lot saying about Ali. I said, we should keep Ali, we should keep Williams, we should have kept all those players. Fact is, as soon as you got Jose Mourinho, football's gone. Don't forget the football. It ain't happening because he wants to win now. He's a man that wants to win now, and that's it. So you're taking on that. You know what you're getting. and you have to do what he wants. Well, what's the point of getting these managers in the first place?
You're spot on, Alex. You're
And
spot
that's
on.
the
Like, for
point.
me, just quickly, just to add to what you're saying, Alex, like, we want trophies as a fan base. You know, the players, well, not all the players, because I'm not going to say Sanchez wants trophies, because I know he definitely doesn't. I know Kane does. You know, people like Kane and Son, they want trophies. But then surely, Alex, you know, if you're bringing in these guys have worked in some of the best clubs around the world. So they obviously worked in some of the best scouting departments around the world. So they're well aware of, like, a Kim Min-jae before they come, like, the big dog or the player that they are now. So, like, we're bringing these guys in to bring us trophies. So then if they know what's best for trophies, why aren't we doing what they asked then?
Well, it was the wrong decision, David. That's the point. It was the wrong decision to get them in, because the fact is, he should have carried on with the football that Pochettino did, but they didn't research on it. They thought a pipe dream, thinking, "Oh, this looks like a great manager. We should get this guy in because he's good because he's won things. So he can make these group players really good because Pochettino got them really good, didn't he? So he just needs to get to that next level. It's a pipe dream. It's a literally pipe dream. Like I said on Dermot's show, yeah. And big up to you, bro, yeah. Because like I was on there because the Queen Ellie was on there, and I just wanted to just big up Dermot for what he's gone through as well, yeah. Yeah, big up to Ellie, yeah. Even though Hoiby I don't like, I'm not a fan of, but you know, it's all love. You know, it's all love, yeah, yeah. But like for me, Bill Nicholson and Keith Birkinshaw, you watch those teams and you have to go back. The thing is, though, this is what I said on my channel. I said, you're in trouble when you have to go look on Google and find out when you last won a championship. You know you're in trouble. You know you're in trouble as a top club. You know what I mean? And when you look back at those teams, and Tottenham treat that history so badly as well. And that's why people are not having a go at Levy. I'm not going to go on about Levy, but that's the reason why people have a go at this club, because they don't treasure that history. Because let's be honest here, if Bill Nicholson wasn't at this club, you don't have Tottenham Hotspur. Simple as that. You know what I mean?
I disagree
really
slightly on what you were saying about, you know, bringing in Jose Mourinho. Look, I get it. I would have wanted Poch to stay and be backed. But we've got to look at it. You ask yourself this: why have they brought in 3 defensive managers since Pochettino? But the reason why is because they know Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, people like that aren't good enough. So their thinking is, okay, well, we'll keep conceding goals under Pochettino, but we know we have the players to score goals. So rather than reinvest and spend lots of money on this rebuild like Pochettino wanted, it's easier and less costly to sack him and bring in someone like Jose Mourinho, who is known as one of the best defensive coaches ever in world football, to try and form a cohesive backline out of that. Now, that backfired on them. It failed. So what did it do? They went and brought in Nuno, whose system at Wolves was defensive first. That backfired. He couldn't do it. So then they go and get Conte. They look at it and go, okay, back 4 is not working. Let's bring in a guy to make a back 5. And that way we can solidify it up a bit more and we won't be exposed like that. But reality is Conte has come in, and again, these guys have proven they're not good enough. And this is my point. Like, we can sit here and we can blame Jose and Conte, but the reason why they were hired is so they could get more out of Dyer, Davies, and Sanchez, because the board, Levy, etc., they believe these guys are good enough. Whereas managers have come in, they're telling them they're not good enough, but they keep firing the managers, and it's just not good enough. And that's the whole reason why we've brought in 3 defensive managers since Pochettino, because they believe Dyer and Sanchez are good enough, and they will not take no for an answer.
Well, that's why it was the wrong decision, David. That's why it was the wrong decision. I stick by what I said on Chris Cannon's show. Big up to him, by the way. I need to get on this show and talk some truth to him as well. But big up to him. I love the guy. We all love him. We all love him. Yeah, I mean, we all love him. But the point is that, you know, like for me, it was the wrong decision. Should have kept Poch or get somebody like Poch. That simple as that. And you should have kept to that philosophy. Look at Brighton. Look at Brighton. Yeah, they hate won trophies, but they kept their philosophy. You know what I mean? And also another thing as well, Arsenal, simple. Manchester United, I was told Manchester United in the mud. Well, they're 4th in the table right now, and it's Ten Hag's first season. They're laughing, and they're in the Carabao Cup semi-final, could get into the final. Where are we at the moment? You know what I mean? sorry. Like I said, I'm being honest. I'm an honest guy. I'm never going to change. I'm the most hated Tottenham fan going. You know me, David. We're going to go every single time. You know what I mean? But like I said, truth hurts, and that's it. I'll hold it back to you, David, to say what you need to say.
No, spot on. Absolutely spot on. Crocodiles, big yourself up, brother. I really do appreciate the support, my man. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation off the back of that. Let us know whether you agree or disagree, Crocodiles. Big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate the support. And then, Jacko, we've got DJ Samuel. Do you know what the sticker is?
Yeah, it was him in like his like rolling chair, Dave, basically, or like in his office chair, and he was kind of doing like kind of some skateboarding, kind of grinding, and smashing things left and right. It was kind of like what Romero would probably do, like in his gaming chair, just smash everything around in his house, basically. It was quite entertaining. I don't know where DJ came up with it.
Sounds like me in my local nightclub on a Saturday night, to be honest with you. But big up, DJ Samuel. Really
sounds like you later in the watch along, Dave. I imagine you later in the watch along. That's what he'll be doing.
Yeah, that's me when we lose. But big up, DJ Samuel. Of course, in and around Tottenham he is. I hope you're keeping well, my man. We'll be over at the AC Milan game. Hopefully you can come and meet the Flat Caps, myself and Jack and Dermotron. Big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate the support. Now, Dermot, you've been sitting there waiting patiently, my man. So I am going to throw the next question at you, and then we'll move it on to Paddy after that. And then Jack, actually, because Jack has really strong thoughts on this. But the Daily Mail reported that League One side Nice inquired about Davinson Sanchez, but the Tottenham defender is reluctant to leave Antonio Conte's side this month. If this report is true, with the very few minutes Sanchez has had this season, does this then make you question his motivation as a footballer?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's being paid over the top at the moment at Tottenham for he's not a great defender. Now he should be told to go. He should, right, you're moving, that's it, no questions asked. I don't care. This is the problem, Dave. I've said it before, there's too much player power at Tottenham at the moment. Where if it was under like Keith Birkinshaw or Bill Nickerson, they were the boss. The buck stopped with them. A player would do what they tell them. Now it's you don't play a player. The agent's on the phone to them. Why is my player not playing? It's ridiculous. I would cancel his contract now. To be fair, right there, Sanchez, there's your contract. You can go. Look, there's too much player power at Tottenham at the moment. It was Davis that went up and got Nuno to sack. The head of the players' union, you could probably call it. The players again, probably half of them threw Mourinho under the bus, they threw Poch under the bus. And, again, it's the same players. And again, we tried to get them out and they don't want to move because they're getting too much money. Why would you want to move?
Yeah.
If you're being overpaid, why would you want to move? It's like, say Paddy was my boss and Paddy gave me a new contract for doing the job. I don't know. And he gives me so much, say, £3,000, €3,000 a week for doing the job, just for example. Whoa. And Paddy said, sorry, I want you to go, on loan to somebody else. I ain't going. I'm going to sit here quite happily, sit on the bench, sit on my ass, because I'm getting paid good. And I'm not good at my job. So, it's too much player power. And I just want to add on very much quickly what Alex said above. We, as a club, it was Bill Nickerson's birthday during the week. He would have been 104, I think, on Wednesday. And the club did absolutely nothing. Not jack shit. And it's embarrassing. You go to Old Trafford. Yeah, you go to Manchester United. They have George. They have Best, Law and Charlton. Matt Busby. You go up to Liverpool. They got the Shankly Gates. And I think there's one up there of Kenny Dalglish. You go to Newcastle. They've got statues of Bobby Robson up there. Alan Shearer. Leeds have got statues. We've got nothing. It's an embarrassment. We need whoever comes in, either it's whoever buys us, if Levy and Ian are still here, or somebody buys us, they have to, look after our history because it's important. It's important. We need to look after it and cherish it. Bill Nick is Mr. Tottenham. Always will be. He's the man that laid the foundations, and the foundations are gone. And that's the bit that really upsets me because we don't look after our history. And players like Sanchez, Dyer, and players like that, they're an embarrassment to our club. They need the contracts cancelled and gone. I don't care. Just get rid of them.
I think they're a stain on our history, if I'm being brutally honest. Fast
Yeah,
versus Dave, what happened to the Spurs flag behind you, my man? So, look, I got a green screen for Christmas, this, that, and the other to try and upgrade everything and get better content across to you guys and make it look better and fancy and la-di-da-da-da. But it all backfired and failed on me because the actual nuts and bolts of the whole system, the computer, is not good enough or strong enough to be able to do it. So I have to upgrade on that, and it's going to take me time to do that. But it will happen fast. Big up, my man. But Paddy, you know, surely like what Sanchez is doing here, you know, he's not really in a rush to move. You know, we've only got the club to blame because these guys were getting contracts after contracts after contracts without fully deserving it. And now I think now we're at a point, and I've said this before, we can't ship these guys out, and we keep hearing from the club, oh, well, we have to get rid of players. Granted, I get that. But they're in no rush to go because they've been handed big contracts, and they know when they leave, their money's going to take a hit, which means their lifestyle has to take a hit. So, I mean, do you question not only Sanchez, but other people's motivation in around this squad? And that's why we see getting knocked out in the likes of the Europa Conference League, early stages of the FA Cup, 5th round and stuff like that, because their motivation is not right.
You look at the likes of, I'll just use Arsenal for a prime example. They had 2 or 3 players that were on decent money, weren't doing well for the team, got rid of them. That's it. I know you're saying player power, which is right. A player can decide where he wants to go and whatnot. But there comes a point where you have to kind of go, okay, you've been here for 6 or 7 years. You've had maybe 5 good games out of those 6 or 7 years. Good luck and thanks. You're gone. But the other side of the coin then is you have the likes of Levy and co that are probably overpricing them in trying to recuperate as much as they paid for them. They're not good. Look, Sanchez, you're not going to get nowhere near, what was it, 40? Did we pay 40 million for him?
Yeah, you wouldn't even get 40 million M&Ms for him. Come on.
You wouldn't get 40 cents. You wouldn't, right? So I'll just call out a couple of names. So I like Davis. I'd keep. I think he's a nice backup player. He is. I don't think he's one there to cause trouble, right? Okay. But one of the best things he probably did, like you said there, he went up and got rid of Nuno. If he didn't, imagine where we'd be now. So I mean, I'll give him credit for doing that.
But does that not show what Dermot's saying? Like, how should someone like Davies, who might look, some people would argue with me, oh, well, he was rotated with Danny Rose. The fact of the matter is, he was fucking Danny Rose's backup, and you know he's been a fair left back, so we've moved him into left side of centre back. But this is what Dermot's talking about, and this is what my problem is. Someone like Davies, who's been here 7 years, hasn't exactly given legendary service. But yet he's lasted 7 years. But then he has the power to go and speak to Daniel Levy to say, look, we don't like the manager, get him gone. And the only reason why Davies done that, though, Paddy, is because he was told he's in the B squad that will be going out to Europa Conference League.
Yeah. I would imagine the reason he was the one that was picked would have been because he probably would be one of the most senior players. But then that kind of says to you, well, then why didn't Harry? Now, look, again, this is speculation. We don't know exactly what happens behind the scenes. Any person who says that is talking bullshit. They don't. There are very, very few people who know exactly what's happening in the background. Because one thing I will tell you about Spurs is they have a very, very tight ship and not much gets out. They don't. Very, 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 very little gets out. Dyer, another one, he needs to be gone. Sanchez, another one, he needs to be gone. Doherty, gone. Ndombele, gone. Lo Celso, gone. Jesus Christ. You're not going to make half of the money that you paid for any of these players. And this is where the problem lies. The club are going to... No one's going to pay 60 million. Napoli aren't going to pay 60 million for Ndombele. Not a hope are they. Villarreal or whatever aren't going to pay 40 million for Lo Celso. Wherever Sanchez goes, they might pay 5 or 6 million. And this is where Levy falls as an owner. He doesn't want to lose money. And that's been the biggest problem for years. He refuses to lose money or tries to get as much money out as he possibly can from a player sale. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. It doesn't. And it won't work that way. Because clubs aren't going. I mean, what club would realistically go for Sanchez now?
None. Well, Nice. They seem to like our leftovers, to be honest with you. But look, it just shows the caliber of the player that we have to sell, that they're just not good enough. So
no, they're not.
Like where I'm at with it, just quickly, because I know I want to get Jack and Alex in on this as well, is like, we've got players, Sanchez, 4 or 5 years, only ever being a backup. Dyer, 8 years. Davies, 7 years. You got Lucas Moore there, 4 or 5 years. Session, another 3. People like that. But like, especially in, like, the thing is, they're not good enough, but they've been around so long. They inevitably have a big part of the culture in the dressing room, in and around the club, which means then they have a say, which we've seen in Davies' case with the likes of Daniel Levy. And players like that, who are the ones that are holding us back in the first place, should not have that say at this football club, should not have a grip on the culture in the dressing room, in and around the club, the way they do. It should never be allowed. They're not legends of this football club. They haven't played 10 good games even on a trot, let alone 8 years of decent service. They should not be here. And the fact that we keep offering them contracts, we've put ourselves in a situation where these guys are in no rush to go until they get the money they want. Right, which then you look at it, okay, well then why are we losing the likes of Enes Mora? Why are we losing the likes of Colchester? Why are we getting knocked out by Zagreb on Thursday nights? Because their motivation is wrong. Their motivation is their paycheck, not the football club, not going out there playing games and proving themselves to get into the first team. Their motivation is money, and that has to stop. And the reason why we're in the situation we're in now is because anytime these guys are getting found out. So the first 6 months when a new manager comes in, new manager bounce, everything's rosy, everyone's saying lovely things about each other in press conferences and all. It's more embarrassing than Valentine's Day. It really is, the way they go on with each other when new managers come in, right? But then once that new manager slides, results or things start getting a little bit tough. But I would actually say, when it comes down to, okay, we've done stuff in other areas, now they're the ones highlighted. All of a sudden, performances fall off a cliff, results fall off a cliff, the manager goes. And it's not good enough. And the reason why we can't sell them, it's not even the reason why we can't sell them, but it's a man-made problem, because the owners then go, well, we've got a bloated squad, we've got to sell before we buy. It's like, okay, well then how do we fix it? Send them down to the under-23s like you've done with Danny Rose, because you didn't like what he said about you. So use the same thing with our squad, send them down there, and watch how quickly they leave. Watch how quickly they leave. Force them. But Jack, Sanchez, another gem by fucking fraud hitching,
I just feel like, Dave, it's kind of just maybe his greatest gift to us is maybe Davinson Sanchez, it really seems like, because he is actually our most expensive ever defender before we did bring in Romero. And this is a defender that, again, our most expensive ever defender, has seemed actually quite happy to be sitting on the bench behind the likes of Vertonghen. He sat on the bench behind the likes of Alderweireld. Moon Boots has started ahead of him, as we all know, plenty of occasions. Davies has started ahead of him. I think he's even behind Jaffa Tanganga now, like in the pecking order. So this guy has been in the Premier League for years and years and years, our most expensive ever defender, and has really honestly failed to ever really make like a strong impression on being kind of like a mainstay in the starting lineup for this team. And when you kind of find yourself in that position, Dave, you think, you know what, maybe the Premier League just wasn't for me, too big of a step. Maybe I'll try to find football elsewhere. But we're actually finding out that Sanchez actually has no desire to do that whatsoever. He's just happy to stick around as long as possible, just to warm the bench and be able to just sort of kind of pick up the paycheck. I mean, it really isn't actually that far to say that really he does seem just happy to stick around and pick up the paycheck, because he is being offered loans, or he is being offered moves away. Last summer, he was being offered moves away. This January, he's being offered moves away. But apparently he's some like Antonio Conte student or whatever, where he's so reluctant to leave Antonio Conte's side. I don't really understand how he's reluctant to leave Antonio Conte's side when he never even gets any minutes under this team in the first place. So it just really doesn't make any sense to me, Dave, when it comes to the type of players that we brought into this football club. We've now, under Steve Hitchen, at least to me, brought in 2 players that seriously could not give a single shit about playing for Tottenham Hotspur. One of them was Tanguy Ndombele. Probably another one was Gio Lo Celso, if you want to, throw him into it as well. And then Davinson Sanchez is another one here that was an absolute flop in that case, because he has actually been totally fine, totally satisfied with sitting on the bench for as many years as he has been here. And now when he's being offered a chance to get his move away, when he's even behind, like I said, Jaffa Tanganga doesn't get any minutes whatsoever. He's that far down in the pecking order. and he still doesn't want to move away. Apparently, he's so happy to be playing under Antonio Conte and whatever. He doesn't even play any minutes. So I just don't even get it, Dave. I think, again, it's just another player that we have in the ranks here that is just such, I don't know, just such a hindrance to us, just such, just such an obstacle. And it's really frustrating that we not only have dross players, but we also have dross players that don't even want to leave.
Can I just throw something in as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
With Steve Hitchen, okay.
Big up Ollie, by the way.
I know. Was it that Kildare Ollie, is it?
Yeah, well, Portlaoise Ollie. He's not Kildare. He's Portlaoise. He'll go mad if I don't correct that. Big up Cockeyed Steve as well. Not Cockeyed Steve, sorry. Cockeyed TV Golden Cock, which is Steve, by the way.
Beginning to worry me now, Dave.
I'm rusty, but sorry, Paddy, go on. And then I want to get Alex in because he's taking a lot of notes.
You're right. With Steve Hitchen, right, I do know there a lot of players that he looked for, he didn't get. To be fair to him, right? With the players like Ndombele and Chelsea, I don't think there was one Spurs fan pissed off that we didn't get them. They just didn't work out. So I wouldn't necessarily blame Hitchen for them. It's just the fact that it didn't work out. With Sanchez, I would.
But he never looked into their background or their attitude or anything. You never looked into their psyche.
If he did his due diligence and looked into Ndombele's background, then he should have known that in previous clubs he was causing trouble. Yeah, he was, right. But then so that's that side. The other thing I wanted to say was, because my thing is going to go dead, Dave, soon, so I want to try and get it in before I get cut off and get a charger. If you look, right, I think a lot of these players that we have currently, the likes of Dyer and even Sessegnon, I don't rate him. I do not rate him at all. Never have, never will. And I saw him firsthand over the North London derby. He couldn't cross his legs, let him cross the ball. Literally. The very first 2 minutes when he went down the wing, I turned to one of the lads and said, look. I said, look, that's exactly what we have. And he turned around to me and said, stop being negative. I said, I'm not. I said, I'm being realistic. That's what we have coming down the left wing. I said, and Perisic sitting on the subs bench. But look, that's another day's conversation. I think with a lot of these players, they're complacent.
Yeah.
They have nobody. I always use the kind of, if you look at the United team back in the 00s, 90s, whatever, when they were dominating, right? Every single year, Ferguson would add one or two quality players, regardless if you had a world-class centre. If he had a world-class centre half in his team, he could potentially add another world-class centre half, all right, or two. That kept those other players on their toes, and they knew, right, if I have a poor game, I've got player B to step right in, and I'm on the subs bench. Whereas the likes of Dyer, the likes of Davis, the likes of Sessegnon, even who else? Other players, I'm not going to name them all, but if you get what I'm saying, they have nobody that's on their heels waiting to get into the team. They can play shit for 3 or 4 games, and they know they're going to start again. So it's a case of, I've had a bad game, sure. I know I'm going to be starting next week because there's no one else there better than me. There's no one coming up from the youths. The youths, the 21s are shocking. I know they beat Arsenal yesterday 2-1, but it took a senior player to get one of the goals. In Europe. It did. They're bottom of the Premier League 21s there. So there's no one from the 21s coming up. So that means we've nothing there. There's very, very few in the 18s that are coming up because they're having a piss poor season as well. So the senior players know we've no one, we've nobody to come in and take our place. So we can just saunter along, take our wages. We lose. We'll send out a tweet or whatever. The normal rhetoric shite that they do. And the next game.
Spot on. I absolutely couldn't agree more with that. I mean, I've been saying this to Jack a long time as well. It's like, why would they care? If they look over their shoulders, who else is going to come in? But this is the point. We should never have been allowed to get to this level. And the thing is, these guys have all had chances to nail down that spot, and they failed to do it. The only reason why they find themselves into the team is because of a lack of investment in and around that areas. Now, just before I let Alex in, Paddy, I want to ask you quickly. Chris Perkins was let go there recently. He was in charge of, these youngsters, finding them. He was in charge of bringing in Will Lancashire. But like you said, we find ourselves bottom of the group. Do you think that's why he was sacked?
I would imagine so. If they're not getting players in that aren't good enough in the youths, if you keep on bringing players in and things aren't improving or teams aren't improving, then it's the top where it sits at. But then again, look, you can turn around and go, things aren't going really well for the senior team, so it's the top that it sits at. But unfortunately, the top won't get rid of himself.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you get what I'm saying, they'll say that the person over recruitment and academy and whatnot isn't doing his job, isn't getting what should be got in. So let's get rid of him. Then it works both ways. But it won't, obviously. We know from the other side of it won't. But that would have been the reason I would imagine why they got rid of him.
Spot on. Yeah, I think so too. Adrian Chia says Levy would put
Colonel Sanders
statue to get Colonel Sanders statue to get money from KFC. wouldn't surprise me, to be honest with you. Or what about like KFC on the Skywalk or something like that, Adrian Chi, you know? But look, we better not go too far into that because we don't want to be giving the club any ideas whatsoever. So, but big up, Adrian Chi.
The KFC Stadium. Nice. Jesus, Dave, you're going to give me nightmares now. You can see it now, couldn't you? Please welcome to the KFC Stadium.
Now imagine that. You get a little drive, a little walk by KFC on the Skywalk. You stand there, you have your Zinger burger overlooking the stadium, and then, you know, just to wash it down, you get to abseil down the side of the stadium. I mean, it's absolutely perfect. Money galore, you know. But look, like I said, Adrian G, we don't want to be giving the club any ideas because you probably have a candy floss store, popcorn maker, and everything there up there by the end of next year if we go down this round. But Alex, I see you with the notepad out. I see you taking an awful lot of notes today. But where are you at with this? So look, Paddy kind of alluded to it, that we've got players here, they're stuck here, they're in no rush to leave. So, Alex, what do we do with these guys? Because the owners are going to say, we've got a bloated squad and we have to sell now before we buy. But Conte already has alluded to what he wants in here and what he needs to be able to take us on to the next level. So what do we do with the guys that aren't good enough, who are in big wages and not quick enough to leave? How do we get rid of them? Can we pay off their contracts and just sack them off? Can we put them down to the under 23s? Hopefully they get bored and instruct their agents to go and find themselves a club quick, fast. What do we do? Because they have to go.
Well, if you were backing Conte, which we're not, you'd just do what Arsenal done. Simple as that.
We want to recruit high prices, though, Alex, and this is the problem.
Well, as I said, you know what you're getting with Conte. You know, and it's a straightforward answer. Yeah, as I said, there's nothing really else to say on this, really, because, as I said, I've supported Sessegnon last season. I thought he was better than Reguilon all day last season. But this season, he's been crap. He's been crap. You know what I mean? He can't get past his man. I've watched him. He can't get past his man at all. You know what I mean? You know, Perisic has been okay. But like I said, Perisic on a good day is Emerson on an absolute awful day. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's simple. Sanchez just needs to go. You know what I mean? The thing with Ndombele and the Celso, I completely agree with what Patty's saying. The fact is, they were brought in for Pochettino. Yeah. So, and Steve Hitchen gets a very rough ride. I don't think I've had to take some humble pie because you know what I said those many moons ago on your show, David, when I said to you, why the hell is he looking for our next manager? Yeah. He got lots of flack because of Daniel Levy. Yeah. Because the signings that we were potentially going to get in, he got them to a certain stage and Daniel Levy messed it up. Simple as that. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of flack on this guy, and he's actually not that bad. It's just the person around him.
Here's where I would argue, just quickly, Alex, on that is the fact. Look, Steve Hitchen went out. People inflated the price because they knew he couldn't negotiate. Whereas Paratici will negotiate, and we've seen this. Even if the money isn't there, he'll get them in with a loan with an obligation to buy. So does that not really expose Steve Hitchen for what he really is? Because we can all sit here and say he brought players to the table. But the fact of the matter is, he couldn't negotiate, within the budget we had.
Yeah, but that was not his remit, though. You know what I mean? And for me, you're not going to get me on board with Prategy. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, you're not going to get me on board with that guy.
Just
I'm not calling him
better.
the Don when he got 2 rejects in last year, right? And I'm not going to get. I'll get onto that. He got Romero that he got in a long time ago. By the way, yeah, you got Gil Messi in, who's no Gil Messi. He's just a rubbish a guy that's doing what he's doing at the moment. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm sorry. Yes, Sarr looks okay. He looks okay, but I'm not going to jump up and down about just one game or just a cameo. You know what I mean?
But surely, if you're criticizing these transfers, then you can criticize some of the transfers that Hitchin brought in, like the Sanchez.
Well, yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, if you're very good at your job, you do what you're doing. But we all know that this guy wasn't that great at Juventus. We know who the main man was at Juventus. We all know. You know what I mean? The Don, if you want to talk about the Don, that's Paul Mitchell, bro. That's the Don. And look what he's doing at look what he's doing at Monaco, by the way, bro.
But he's left because the club didn't want to bring in the players that he was bringing to them.
Exactly, but he's on the board. That's how good he is. He's on the board. You know what I mean? He's not this wheeler and dealer what Prategy does. You know what I mean? And now he's found himself in trouble. But I can't get into that because we're talking about football. You know what I mean? I'm all about football at the end of the day. I'm all love about football. But like I said, that's what I'm saying. You know, so I'm sorry. This club's an absolute mess. You know, and I'm sorry. The fact that this guy is sitting at our club is pathetic. He ain't no Don. He's never no Don, and he will never be no Don. And that's it. And I'll leave it back to David. I
just want to say on this Don thing, right? First of all, I want to clear this up. It was a nickname I put on the guy to have a bit of fun. Now, I've seen all around the fan base, all around YouTube, people going, well, hang on, guys, is he really the Don? The Don is a mafia title. The guy's from Italy. That's why he got the nickname. If people that are going, oh, does he live up to Don status? It's nonsensical. Judge him on the job he's done and not a nickname that I give him. But just because I know the power I hold, I'm now going to give everybody a nickname that comes in here to see if everybody keeps talking about him. My point is, Don was a nickname and a bit of fun, right? Because he was Italian and the mafia, and I wanted to give him a nickname. But then people going, well, does he live up to Don status? It's a stupid debate. Judge him on what he's done. His recruitment has been better than Steve Hitchens. Steve Hitchens, we were in Europa Conference League and falling. Paratici's recruitment got us back to Champions League with also bringing Conte in here. So I believe Paratici's work without the Don title, which was a nickname, I'll keep stressing, nickname, don't take it too seriously, don't get your panties in a twist, it's a nickname. His recruitment has been better than Steve Hitchens, and that's just a fact.
I just think another thing, though, I feel like I feel like if you don't think that, I don't think you can say Steve Hitchen got a bad rap and then go into a 4-minute tirade on all the things that Paratici has done wrong. Like, I think you have to hold them to the same.
Jack,
just quickly, Alex, I think you have to hold them to the same account. Call them both shit, is what I mean. Say that they were both held back.
I'm still waiting for that
they
trophy,
were both held back by
Where's
Levy. Say they were both, constrained by Levy. Just hold them to the same standard. I just don't think you can say.
I hear you, Alex. I hear you. But the point is,
where's that trophy?
No, I hear you, right?
But wait a minute. Say the same thing with Hitchen then.
Yeah, this is what I want to say.
Hold them to the same standard.
I get where's the trophy, right? We all want trophies, Alex. But the reality is, under Steve Hitchen, we were falling further and further away. Underneath Paratici, he's trying to get us back to some sort of level to be able to compete. I do hear you on the trophies and I get frustrated, but the reality is, the squad was so poor and the way we operate, Paratici was never going to come in here and deliver a trophy in the first few windows. It's going to take consecutive windows. Keep backing, keep rotating, get rid of defenders, bring in more defenders. It's going to take longer than a couple of windows. No director of football is going to walk in here and deliver trophies after one season under the constraints that they have to operate in. Absolutely nobody. No one.
You know how good I think he's at Tottenham at the moment. As soon as Conte leaves and walks, which I predict, because that's not a spoiler. It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler because he's going to walk. Yeah, he's gone. That's how good Paratici is, because he ain't that great. He ain't that great at all. Yeah, he was made look
the same
good.
thing with that's fine then. Just say the same thing with Hitchen then. Just say the same thing.
Hitchen. Like I said, I'll stick by what I say, Jack. I've gone back on myself on what I've said. I've put some humble pie on it and said I had a go at him and I'll take it back. Yeah, and Mr. Box Office, the main event doesn't do that, bro. Too much,
but can't
bro.
You do the same for Paratici then?
No, because look at the news. What's going on at the moment, bro?
Then
You know
can
what
I
I mean?
ask you, Alex?
Simple.
Let me ask you.
I'm loving this, David, man. Keep it coming,
I
bro.
just want to
I
ask you a
love it.
question.
I love
I
it.
just want to ask you a question because my feeling is that people have a problem with Paratici because of the Don title or the nickname that myself gave him. So the whole thing is then, is he really a Don? And let's be real, that's been the argument absolutely everywhere. So people have a problem with the nickname I gave him. Take away the nickname I've gave him, completely take away, forget about it. He's done better than what Steve Hitchen has. And if your problem is, oh, he's not a Don, but then you back Steve Hitchen, then the problem is the fact that he was given the Don title in the first place, not his recruitment.
It's not about the Don. It's not about the Don. It's just the fact that everybody goes over the top about this guy. This guy is just over the top. He's gone over the top about this guy. He was not the main man at Juventus, and he's not the main man here. Conte's making him look good, bro. He's made him look good. Yeah. To be fair to him, Conte's come in and said, "What is this? What is
Isn't
this?"
he the guy that was able to bring Conte
he's
in
come
the
in,
first
he saw
place?
the youth, and he saw what's this? What is this? Yeah. And now he's put people's rocket up some people's backsides and said, you got to get back to that standard. None of the youth is getting through our team right now. Yeah.
No,
None of the youth. It's rubbish. Yeah. When you see Manchester United, Leicester City, Arsenal, you see Leeds, you see all those teams getting youth coming through the door. And what does Tottenham do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. I can't stand it. Like, you're in trouble when you're going to games and you're looking at your position. You're saying, I'd rather watch them at the moment than Tottenham at the moment. You know you're in trouble when you've got Kane literally putting him on our backs, yeah, because he's doing so much for our team at the moment, yeah. It's pathetic. And I'm calling him a loser because he's not getting us through finals and semi-finals, because he should be doing what Sol Campbell did. Yes, I did say Sol Campbell. And what Shimmerton did. Just leave our club and win trophies. That's what he should have done. I'm sorry, David. That's the truth. That is the truth. Sorry, bro.
We'll have you on again because I need to discuss Kane and Paratici with you, because I don't agree with everything you say, but we need longer time to hash this out, because I do want to take these couple of super chats and then maybe move on to a little bit about the game before we end off, because we've got 15 minutes left. But Alex, I want you back here. I want to discuss Paratici with you, and I want to discuss the Harry Kane being a loser part as well, because I don't agree with them. But look, that's for another day. We'll definitely have you back. I just think, Alex, if you just allowed yourself to sit there and go, Don Paratici, and finally get it over and done with, I do think you'd find
Just
yourself.
let it out. Let out a Hill Messi.
Yeah, just let it out. You'll find yourself
a
that
little Hill
easier
Messi too, if you want.
Can I just add one thing on that, Dave, before you move on very quickly? Look
Jacko,
what Paratici.
Sorry, Jacko, I just have to run off for a number one, an Eric Dyer moment. Will you just take the super chat and I'll be back?
No worries. Yeah, Dermo, what were you going to say?
If you look what Paratici did in one window, what Hitchen has done over the time he was at the club, that's why Paratici's the Don. He brought in two players that changed our season. Yeah, we were lucky. Hitchen had come in and destroyed the place. Paratici's trying to rebuild what Hitchen destroyed. Paratici in one window, well, two windows, but the last January he brought in two players. That got us top four. Hitchen couldn't do that all through the time he was at the club. So I would back Paratici to the end of the day. Call him a Don. That's what he is. That's his nickname. He deserves the nickname. Hitchen is useless, and and I agree also with Alex. Mitchell was probably the best one we had that let go. So Paratici's the best one since.
And he got fed up and had enough with Levy and the ownership, which says a lot, to be fair. The bottom Dudas, the bottom Dudas saying we don't even buy top young players and then say Conte doesn't give him chances. We never got Kvaratskhelia or Camavinga. We got Spence. There's levels to this. Believe me, I mean, to bottom Duda, I don't think Spence, though, was actually, I think that was pretty much, we all know, was brought in by Daniel Levy and kind of the ownership to a degree. Like, he knew the agent, he knew kind of everything behind, like it was basically an ownership sort of like signing. But at the same time, right, we criticize, you're right, Antonio Conte for not getting the best out of the young players, but we don't really exactly have always maybe the most convincing of young players for him to use. They're a lot riskier than I think people probably realize. And I think Jed Spence is one of them, especially when it comes to right wing backs. We definitely could have gone for much better, I think, younger talents. We could have gone for Pedro Porro sooner. We could have gone for like a Ridley Baku, I think, from like Germany or something like that. We could have gone for like Wilfred Singo from like Torino, players like that. But we went for, I think, more of an unproven sort of talent in Spence. And then when it comes to Kavicha, I feel like we did go after him earlier to bottom Duda, but it was labeled as an Enoch and a Levy signing by fans. And it was just something that like we did kind of look at ahead of time, but just simply for maybe reasons of the ownership and also reasons of, I think, kind of to a degree, maybe the fact that sometimes Spurs fans don't really accept those type of, cheap, kind of signings like Kavicha. Maybe they just, steered away from it because they were afraid of maybe the reaction. I don't know what it is, but they did look at Kavicha probably well ahead of everybody else. And that's even why I did a Kavicha video so long ago. But it is kind of disappointing that maybe the recruitment department up before wasn't even able to get in those type of, good young talents, those very hidden talents we weren't able to get. We went after different type of talents that turned out to be absolute duds. So you're absolutely right, bottom Duda. But when it comes to Kavicha, I think it's a special case, I think, for Spurs. I think we got it wrong, but it's also the fact that I'm not even sure if Spurs fans would have accepted taking him in when we actually were like looking at him. I think they would have criticized that signing a lot.
No. Big up the bottom, Duda. Really appreciate the support, my man. Really appreciate it. Big yourself up, brother. And then we've got Rob Belcher. He says, great panel, all points covered. Just want to show my support for David. Good to see you back, buddy. Yeah, look, I really appreciate it, my man. Look, these FA Cup ones are hard to do. So, I try and take and in all these pre-match shows beforehand, now we're going to take some of the current topics as well and get them discussed, as well as talking a bit about the game. Jack done it the other day. It was absolutely fantastic. So big up, Jacko. But Rob, look, I just needed to take a couple of games away, just sort of get my head straight, get it unscrambled and stuff like that. But look, the big man's back and the big man's here to stay. Big up, Rob. If you don't know, get to know. Big up, Rob, though. Absolutely love that, my man. But look, guys, we are going to talk a little bit about the game. We've got 15 minutes left. I suppose the best place to start would probably be Fraser Forster. But just quickly, I want to ask Dermot. Dermot, La Liga has informed Barcelona they must reduce their wage bill by 150 to 200 million for next season. Would you sign Langley on the cheap if we were given the chance?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Is he good enough for Tottenham? I mean, look, personally, I think he's had an okay season, but that mistake against City, it was very dire and Sanchez-esque.
Yeah, it was. But for me, I think he had such a bad time at Barcelona. It was like a release when he came to us, and he can play it out from the back like Romero can. You get another centre-back in the middle, them three, I think that's a top defence, and sort out your wing-backs. Then we've got a top back five. For me, it's a no-brainer. Go for it. And see who else we can pick up there for free, cheap as well, because they got some good plays. Then I just think Longley's been a breath of fresh air. He's been better than Davis anyway, to be fair. And that's Davis is like our James Milner, like a Liverpool. There's Davis that to us, but Longley is a far better defender.
Line of the show, Dermot has compared Davies to James Milner. Should never be done in its lifetime. That's a crime, Dermot. The guards are on their way. That can never happen. James Milner.
They're banging at the door at the moment, so hang on. So if I get caught out of the way,
clubs. I'm only messing with you, my man. But look, where I'm at, we got to start rotating this defence eventually, which also means bringing in backups as well. Why not try and get Langley on the cheap, but also continue to look to bring in some big boys to start and have Langley in there as a rotation player? I definitely think he's better than what we've got right now in terms of Dyer, Sanchez, Davies and stuff like that. I think he's a better defender and he's better on the ball. But look, Jacko, we're going to move into the goalkeeper here, my man. Fraser Forster should get another FA Cup starting goal. If he doesn't make any mistakes in this match, is that further evidence or reason for Fraser to start ahead of Hugo in the future? Now, I know Hugo was okay against Fulham, but the reality is every time the ball went near him, I mean, I wasn't the only one sitting there getting nervous, sweating, butterflies in my stomach, and he still can, even though he kept a clean sheet, he's still pushing balls out into the danger area, Jack.
I even found myself in that watch along, complimenting saves for Hugo that were quite basic. It's almost like getting kind of patronizing at a certain stage where we're kind of like, complimenting him for the most basic of saves. I think tonight, when it comes to Forster, Dave, like he of course can get it wrong. Like he maybe could make a mistake, and then it might prove me wrong with how you might have to stick with Hugo. But let's say he doesn't make any big mistakes and he has like a calm, sort of quiet afternoon. I think it's just sort of further evidence to maybe suggest that he should probably at least be given more minutes this season, because Hugo has basically been, like, if you just look at errors leading to goals, he's been basically the worst goalkeeper this entire season for the most part. Like, he really has not had, a stellar season at all, and has cost us a lot of points. And would Fraser have maybe cost us those points? I'm kind of starting to think that maybe he wouldn't in some cases. I really don't think he would have parried it into his own net and a North London derby. I think some of the times where he's given it away, just even from possession, he wouldn't have done so. I just feel like there's been such howlers of mistakes from Hugo that I kind of feel like Fraser Forster should have been given maybe more of a chance than he has. And so if he has a good game today, and let's say he has a quiet, calm afternoon, gets a clean sheet, I think it's maybe further evidence for him, getting the start. Then again, though, Hugo's the captain. It's kind of a tricky situation, dropping him in such an obvious way for some of the games. So I do obviously have sometimes a bit of sympathy for Conte's situation, but I do think, Hugo will potentially cost him again. I think in the future, I don't see Hugo, kind of picking up his form from here. I could see more mistakes happening. So I do hope Fraser Forster gets given a chance down the road.
Yeah, look, it's getting look. The fact that the club are looking to accelerate bringing in his long-term replacement shows that we have urgent issues there. To be fair, and Jack, you've been on this for quite some time this season when it comes to Hugo. And look, at the end of the day, you have been proven right, my man. Alex, Papa Matasaras and Preston, not only Spurs fans but also Antonio Conte. Should he be given the start today? And would you like to see him partner Bentancur, Basuma, or Højbjerg in there to see what he can do?
I think he's okay. I think he's got some potential. He has looked impressive for me.
He's positive.
What do you like about him, Alex?
He's got energy. I'll say that. I'll give it that. But I'm not going over the top about him. No.
No, I'm not asking to go over the top.
You don't think he's positive? He's positive with the ball, though. He turns with the ball.
Yeah,
maybe.
He's good. He's good. I think it looks good because others are not playing very well at the moment. I have to say that.
Sure.
I think he should play. Maybe. It's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one. I think the one that is out running at the moment is definitely Skip. 100% Skip. Skip's not playing well at all.
No,
I think he should have got sent off against Portsmouth, in my opinion, anyway. Because he did a really awful challenge, which I thought was a sending off all day long. I think it will end up being Bentancur and Højbjerg for me, because I think it's the lesser of two evils as far as I'm concerned. I think Bentancur's just he's up and down. I don't think he's. I think again another thing about Bentancur, he's been good. But I think we are going over the top about him because we replaced Harry Winks, and there's levels. There are levels.
Would you give Højbjerg a rest tonight and maybe play Papa Matasar alongside Bentancur?
Probably give him a go. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
but I think if it's a system that's worked before, I think you don't break it at the moment, and I don't think Matasar has done consistent enough to do what to be in the side too much. You know what I mean? You have to have a consistent around the games, and maybe to the end of the season, until you really until maybe next season as well, and see how he is. You know what I mean? And that's it. On the whole Lloris thing, I have to say about this Lloris thing. I think you've got a point there. I think Forster needs a chance, and if he's playing well, I would drop with Lloris, yes, but I don't think for any matter of time at all that he's the answer. No, I think for me he's a second choice, and that's it. We need a new goalkeeper, 100%.
Yeah. But That's what was supposed to happen, though, Alex, because Hugo Lloris, when he signed the new contract, in an interview on Spurs TV, he literally said, I want to identify my replacement and I want to train with him and help him succeed, the guy that's going to be here for the next 10 years. And it's, again, something we haven't done.
Well, exactly. Well, that's the point, isn't it? I mean, I think Henderson's an easy one for me. Manchester United, Nottingham Forest keeper. For me,
look at Zulu, Southampton's goalkeeper, Alex. Honestly, distribution out of this world.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are goalkeepers out there. I don't want Pickford. Not interested.
No, neither do I.
Not interested.
No.
But like for me, Henderson, homegrown, boom, done. But you know, for me, he fits the bill as far as I'm concerned. Distribution better for me, all day long. For me, I don't know too much about Raya. To be honest with you, I don't know too much about Raya.
Supposedly really, two-footed as well, Raya.
He is very two-footed.
Well, I haven't seen too much of him to really make a choice on him.
Head on over to West London then, Alex.
And who else is there? The Southampton goalkeeper. I mean, to be honest, at the bottom of the table for a reason, isn't it? So I don't know really, but you know, so you know, I don't know. But for me, it has to be. I mean, Spurs 86, 8 and 9. I don't watch every game in the world. You know what I mean? I only watch Tottenham games at the moment because that's my concern at the moment. So that's the answer. That's the answer to that question. But yeah, it's you know, for me, Henderson for me is the guy for me, and that's it.
I think you raised two good points there. I think, look, with the goalkeeper, you probably do actually have to look at a homegrown sort of spot to fill up using that. So Henderson could very well be on the list. Look, it does look like it's probably going to be that T-Rex arms for Everton. I don't want him. I agree with you, Alex. I think he's severely overrated. Soccer, and also the point you made on Sarr, he looks good because no one else is really playing well. How good will he look if others are playing well? Very interesting on that, Alex, as well. Soccer 2-on-2 says urgent issues. Look at the entire back eight of the club. Shocking. A lot of them, every single one of them would struggle to play for Southampton. Let's be honest here, gentlemen. He says Bar Romero and another one. Absolutely spot on, Soccer. I couldn't agree more. Now, Dermot, one player I do want to touch on quickly with you before we start getting people's score predictions and stuff like that is Troy Parrott. Now, look, of course, he's on loan at Preston this season, but he's only scored 1 goal in 15 league appearances this season for them. Now, most fans and people in and around the club had high hopes for Parrott. This was a guy that was playing in the European Youth League, and he was banging in goals. We were like, he was too good for playing in the underage team because he was just scoring goals after goals, but then he was caught in a catch-22 situation because he wasn't quite good enough to be in with the senior team. So, and his loan spells since he's been loaned out has been pretty disappointing. Now, I know he was hanging around with Dele Alli and some gangster sons and stuff like that, and it's not ideal, and it probably has hindered his progress, in my opinion. Now, like I did like what he done last season, where he got back into pre-season early out in Spain, this, that, and the other, booked himself in to get some private training and that. But the reality is his low moves aren't working out, and they're in teams a lot lower down than what Tottenham Hotspur are.
Yeah.
Do we think Troy Parrott's going to make it at Tottenham, or do you think it's time to maybe look at cashing in? Because he's 20 now, so you're starting to get to that sort of age where you have to make a call.
It's a hard one because I really want him to do well because he's an Irish player, and I really want, like Paddy says, is you feel proud when you see an Irish player in the Spurs shirt.
Yeah.
You really want them to do well. Look, he did have he did lose focus, and he did try to get his focus back again. Would I sell him? I think it's the time now. He should have gone to Preston and moved on and showed, look, this is what I can do. And then that would have made it good for Spurs and Ireland as well, because that would have given Stephen Kenny sort of like, I can pick Troy now. He's going to bang in the goals for us. He hasn't moved on, and I think he's one of them players that he got to a level and he won't go any more than that. And
do you know what it is, Dermot? He's the same as Aaron Connolly at Brighton. Yeah. You know, Aaron Connolly, remember when Brighton beat us 3-0? I think he scored 2 that day.
He did.
And I was listening to some guys who have a really good insight and a connection with some of the Irish players abroad, this, that, and the other. And in and around Brighton, they're actually using Aaron Connolly as an example of not what to be. Because this guy broke in, got his place nice and young, scoring goals, but then he thought he made it. And same with Troy Parrott. It's kind of
Yeah.
like he was taken out of the youth system, sort of put in and around Potter's team, but with a view of being loaned out. But then you're seeing him at race events with Gangster Sons and Dele Alli. I mean, is he another one of these Irish players who've had huge potential, but just look, unfortunately, they think they've made it. You know, the high life got in the way, and it's stunted their progression.
It
No, that's
is.
about themselves.
It is, Dave. And I mean, the only one you can look like Robbie Keane. He's the only one that's actually made it, who's actually, you know, gone through that extra mile. He put all the hard work, and you got to put in the hard work. There's no point. If you want to be a professional footballer, you've got to eat, sleep, think football. You've got to dedicate yourself to your craft every day. Look at Robbie Keane did that, and he become our leading goal scorer for our country, and also a legend at Tottenham as well. Troy Parrott, I think, is going to be one of them players where his mind's not on the game 100%. It's probably 70% football and 40% or the rest on I've made it now. I'm the big man. And that's the problem. Some of these players come from nothing. They come from very poor backgrounds. So when they do get to a certain point, like at Tottenham, like Troy Parrott, where he's breaking into the first team, then he thinks he's got it. He thinks he's made it. And the hunger goes. And I think that's what it is. There's no hunger. Just very quickly, Dave, on the goalkeeper point, if I can just make a quick point on that. For me, I'm with you, Bazunu all the way. I'm very much a massive Bazunu fan, but also the Newcastle goalkeeper. I think he'd be a good choice for a replacement as well. And nobody seems to be saying him. I'm with you, lot. Pickford, please do not let him anywhere near. He's a loose cannon. He really is a loose cannon.
He'd make Dyer and Sanchez even more nervous. Imagine him screaming at them. Like, Hugo Lloris is quiet, so they could kind of just think for themselves at times. But imagine Pickford behind them, screaming, ranting, and raving. Yeah, we'd be conceding goals left, right, and centre. Would be an absolute joke.
I don't think I'm not a big fan of Dean Henderson, to be fair, but I would go for the Newcastle goalkeeper or Bazunu. I think them two would be good.
Are you talking about Nick Pope?
Yeah.
I want Nick Pope. I like Nick Pope as well, but I don't think he's going to leave Newcastle, isn't he?
No, he's not. No, he's not.
I'm just saying
at Burnley, we could have got him, yes, but at the moment he's not going to leave Newcastle.
No, he's not. He's there for good. He's their number one.
Yes,
I was actually looking at him during the week, and I was saying,
I agree with you, though, Dermot. I do agree with you, but it's just unfortunate he's not leaving Newcastle.
Yeah. No, he's not.
Leaving Newcastle.
Pickford for me, Alex and guys, he's too unstable.
Yep.
He's like a loose cannon. If you say he's shouting, he's like Eric Dyer of goalkeepers. He just loves pointing at things. Eric Dyer's very good at pointing at things too. Eric Dyer's next job is the car park attendant at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, telling people where to park because he's good at pointing at things. Now get Bazunu or Nick Pope in, but that's for me. Or even Martinez of Villa. I quite like him as a goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, so would I. So would I. Just on Nick Pope, actually, I was only saying to Jacko there, Jared, it was yesterday or the day before. I was saying, like, you know, when you look at Hugo Lloris and you look at Nick Pope, you look at the saves Nick Pope makes, and you're kind of looking like, okay, there was a time Hugo Lloris made them saves, but does he make them anymore? The answer is no, he doesn't. You know, and that's how you know he's just not good enough. He's in decline. It's absolutely concrete there. Now, look, I do want to go around the houses. I want to get everyone's score predictions along with a quick question, and also give your channels a plug while we're doing it. Jack, I'll start with you, actually, man. And by the way, everybody, please check out the video that Jack done on Danjuma. It's absolutely brilliant. So everybody check that out. And also the Pedro Porro scout report just come in because the deal is on the rocks right now. So what happens? But check them out. And also a massive thank you to Jack for allowing me to take this time off and get my head sort of going in the right direction, because with the channel, there's a lot of planning behind the scenes, a lot of speaking to people, organizing, reading news, getting together what you want to talk about, getting the shows together, and there's a lot to it, and it's not easy. And for Jack to undertake that all on his own, I really appreciate you, Jacko, for the last few days. But Jack, we've seen Spurs lose to every underdog from Middlesbrough to the Farmers in Slovenia and Esmora. Do you have full confidence we can get the job done today, or are you nervous as a slip-up? What's your score prediction as well, my man?
Love you, Dave. I feel like anything is possible with Tottenham Hotspur. It really is. Like last time, 5th round, it was Middlesbrough that we fell to. Of course, Tequila never likes being reminded of it, but Davinson Sanchez's slips against NS Mira are permanently, imprinted in our brains. Anything can happen with this club. I've seen us basically to lose any type. We've lost to the biggest of clubs, and I feel like we've lost to the very smallest of clubs as well. So I do think anything is possible here today. But with someone like an Antonio Conte, Dave, I think he's already been under he's had one of these losses before. He was there for the NS Mira loss. He was there for Middlesbrough loss. So it's not like he's unaware, or he it's not like he goes into these unexpecting this to happen. So he is probably well prepared of maybe the worst case scenario. So I think we'll be fine today, Dave. I don't think it's going to be an easy game either, though. I mean, these teams really do kind of put their best out there and really just put every man behind the ball and make life really difficult for us. So I think it's going to be like 2-1, something like that, maybe 2-0. That's what I'm going to go for. 2-1.
Interesting. So Jacko's gone 2-1. Absolutely love that. Mr. Box Office Goat Turquoise. I'm not sure what that's about, to be honest.
I think it's he's got a goat emojis or something like that. Some very fancy goat emojis next to it.
There you are. So he's calling Alex the goat. Absolutely love that. Big up me. I really appreciate it. Absolute legend. Don't worry, Dermo will get his shout out. Don't worry, he'll have his time to shine now in a minute. Mr. Box Office, I mean, are you confident today? You're nervous of a slip up? And like you say to people, if you don't know, get to know. Where can they find you?
Just a quick score, 2-1 Tottenham. David, you don't really need to know what to know about me, bro. Any day of the week, you know how it goes with me every single time. You know what I mean? Because you had to get the main event back because I make people famous. I give them 5 minutes of fame every single time. You know what I mean? And as I said on my channel already, I've had to refresh myself, reset myself, and release a different side of me, because you ain't seen a lot of content from me because I'm doing some new content coming on my channel. Nice. The good, the bad, and the bang average. And it's coming from the one, the only LXTHSC, Mr. Box Office. And if you don't know, get to know, because we know what time it is when Alex comes on the mic every single time. And David knows what time it is because I'll ban him every single time. It's Box Office, and that's it. And I'll leave it back to David to waffle on like he always says, and say something stupid.
Well, everybody, do get over and check out Mr. Post Box Office over at Alex PHFC. He says it's box office time. It's not really, it's never box office time. Never time for that. I know. Honestly, though, I do like Alex. I really do like Alex. I think he's a good character. He cracks me up. But also, I think I love the way he comes across with the passion behind his opinions. Don't agree with everything. But look, that's why we're going to have him on again in, hopefully over the next week or two to be able to talk about Paratici and Kane. But everybody get over and check out Mr. Box Office over at Alex THFC. Last but not least, and thank you very much for your time today, Dermatron. Score prediction. Are you a bit nervous? And where can people find you?
Well, first I should have got my popcorn if I knew Alex was coming on, because I've just sat back, get my popcorn and just let the man. No, big up to you, Alex. It's an honor to share a screen with you again, man. We've done it once before. Absolute honor. Dave, great to have you back. And Jack, you did a fantastic job. So it's great to be on this channel. I love coming on here. It's my home, where I sprang from. So big up. Look, I'm going for a 3-0 win today, because back in 2021, Tottenham Hotspur won the FA Cup. Who did we beat in the semi-finals? Preston North End.
Not 2021, 1991, you mean, yeah?
No, 1990, 2021, the year we won our second FA Cup, we beat Preston North End in the semi-final. So we beat Portsmouth in the third round, who we beat in 1991. We're going to beat Preston today 3-0. We're going to march on to Wembley and pick up another FA Cup. Look, if you like what I have to say, you can. We've got great things over there at the moment. We've got a show on Monday. I Miss My Tottenham is what I read out on the fan show on Friday, and my thoughts and why I miss my Tottenham. Philip, the man who's just been given a new job, the godfather from the Irish government as the Minister for Tourism, is back of his another holiday. So we'll have him back. Ellie will have her lady shows, Queen Ellie over there. But last but not least, Mia. Absolute diamond, and she's joining Ellie on her lady shows. Very lucky to have my team around me, but please, everyone, like, subscribe here. Get these guys up to 9K. They truly deserve it. Absolutely. Jack, you're a legend and a brother. And
Thank you,
Dave,
Dermot.
personally to you, you've always been there for me. You're got a heart of gold. You're a 64-carat gold man, and you're a proper gentleman. And it's great to see you back because you have been greatly missed.
I appreciate that, my man. I definitely weigh the same as 64-carat gold. That's for sure, lad. But I am working on that. Don't worry. I'm trying to stop eating, so do not worry about that. But everybody, that wraps it up. Actually, no, how dare I? People want to hear the big dog score prediction. My score prediction today is yeah, why not? I'm feeling like a 3-0. Why can't we keep a clean sheet? Dan the man, Dan Juma. Alex, write that one down. That's the new nickname. You can spread that around the universe. Everyone can start calling him that. Dan the man, Juma. Look, for me, I'm going to go him with a goal. It'd be interesting to see if Harry Kane plays today. If he does play, he's breaking Jimmy Greaves' record. By the way, I have a picture straight away to put up when that happens. Absolutely love it. But yeah, and yeah, do you know what? It'd be nice to see Sonny on the score sheet if given minutes today. So I'm going to go 3-0 to Spurs. Clean sheet. Probably kicking myself in the bollocks here, to be honest with you, because I don't really believe we're going to keep a clean sheet, but it's Preston. They're in the bottom half of the championship table. Should be beating them, really, and keeping a clean sheet. I'll be honest, I just want to see a good cohesive performance, an attacking performance. Balls out wide, balls through the middle, create chances. I can't go through what we did against Portsmouth, where I think we had one shot on target inside 45 minutes against Portsmouth. I mean, the best thing about Portsmouth is the guy that stands in the stands ringing that stupid church bell all the time, you know? So I really do hope that we can turn up to Preston and press them like a good, clean pair of trousers. So let's get the victory. It's FA Cup Day. Spurs fans, even though we haven't won one in a long time since 1991, we love the FA Cup. So let's fucking go. See you all back here at 5:30 for the watch-along. Now, I will pre-warn people, the end of the watch-along, as soon as game's over, I have to be out of here. I have a birthday party that I don't want to go to, but I have to go to. And my sister's boyfriend's birthday party. I don't like going out, don't like doing any of that, but I have to attend those. I'll have to listen to my sister in my ear. So I will have to leave straight away, but Jack will still be on with some guests talking about the game after. But I want to say, most of all, a massive thank you, like I said, to Jacko for allowing me a bit of time. I want to say a massive thank you to Mr. Box Office. It's been good to reconnect. I want to say a massive thank you to Dermotron. Massive thank you to Paddy as well. I really enjoyed having Paddy on. And look, a massive thank you to you guys for, supporting Jack while I was taking a bit of time off. You know, it really doesn't go unnoticed. And I really appreciate it, you know. So thank you to all you guys out there. Look, these channels would be absolutely nothing without you guys tuning in, smashing the like, the subscribe, super chat, and all of that stuff. None of these channels would survive without it, which means none of these channels would survive without you guys for doing it all. So massive thank you from me at the Irish Hotspur to everything you guys do for us. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
5. Let's fucking go.
And Conte we
Spurs are on
trust.
the way to Wembley.
He's our one season wonder.